You have people listening from every corner of this planet. No knowledge has been dispersed so beautifully, so balanced across the planet, on this planet ever, maybe in the universe. You have the full potential of achieving everything in the universe. There is no need and there is no reason for man not to achieve. So, wherever you are, the way I taught you to make the coils, double coil inside, you have continuous equal gravitational magnetic field, and if you put CO2 on it, and you put zinc on it, you have connected the emotion of the man to it on a stable condition, and you'll find out you become a very peaceful man. Here, instead of having galaxies and universes and creating connection magnetically, we have used the matter state gravitational magnetic field strength to dominate and dictate the shape of the plasma. The nanotechnology, the nanomaterial which you have collectively developed in different ways, by caustic, by electric currents, by whatever, fire or whatever, has that advantage that the matter, the nano and the plasma is all the same. So connection is very solid, it's very strong. The power of the plasma technology, the way we have thought, is beyond imagination of the man. Now you can create and control the plasma, which is the mother of the creation of the universe. You are given the seed of the essence of the creation. The foundation does not belong to no one and is not made of one anymore. You are developing it, you are structuring it, and from today we will be still the same. We'll still develop the technology in different names, in different colors, in different nationalities which they do not exist. It is beautiful when we see the Christian, the Muslims, the Jews, and every other belief are working together to build up systems. We have already become one faith. We already have become one nation, and we already become one planet. You got to remember one thing. Dates is irrelevant. Today is the last day of the Christian calendar, or tomorrow is the beginning of another. One day is connected to another. We don't stop. We are working around the clock. The Keshe Foundation team is working irrespective of time, position, religion, country. And now we achieve what we set out for.
Well, welcome everyone to the 278th Knowledge Seekers Workshop for Thursday, May 30th, 2019. This is a broadcast from the Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute, part of the Public Teachings in English. My name is Rick Crammond. I'll be your host today, along with Clint Mulhouse. And we have Mr. Keshe. I hear him getting ready in the background there. And I believe he's ready to go for today's workshop. Hello, Mr. Keshe, are you there?
Hello, yes, thank you very much. Good day to you, wherever and whenever you listen to this series of Knowledge Seekers workshops. 278 workshops, and we literally passed nearly 1,100 teaching sessions. What is interesting is how some of our teachings has enlightened some people, and some of our teachings has given messages to other people in what we think, what we know, and how they can use and benefit by all the technology in all aspects. I received many notes and calls in a way that last week's teaching was too specific and in direction of one nation. And is it that bad, or would it be a change? Would it change anything? If you notice, last Thursday we made the position very clear that we are one nation and we demand peace and there is no game to play. And as part of the Keshe Foundation, as one family, we have a say and we have information, we have knowledge. We share our knowledge in science, in plasma, in health, in agriculture freely. So we should be able to express our emotions and our feelings about the peace as well, because it's part of it, it's an integral part of the whole thing. We are here to serve humanity to achieve peace. Interesting enough, as we see after last Thursday teaching, which was in the afternoon, Tehran time, Iranian government responded through the right directions, confirming that Iran has two new, hidden, totally new technologies. And it was made very clear in the military communique, which we received through the actual officials in other countries, that Iran has access to two unknown new technologies, which Iran never confirmed. And coming after more or less 36 hours after our teaching, government confirming it clarified a lot of things. Nation is powerful, nation has a response. And in response to the response of we don't need missiles and everything else, Iran passports were disarmed of any side missiles. They took them off. That was a clear indication. If you read the press, this is information on the internet, Iranian passports have taken their side winding missiles off their boats, which means we don't need to use it. And this is a clear message. Not only we are man of peace, we don't need these toys. And we have enough power to punch. And we put the parameters down. And the message has been received by our friends in America and in administration to understand we mean peace, we mean direct talk. And on Tuesday, we saw, on Monday, we saw the response from the American government asking the Japanese government to intervene, talk between Iran and Japan. And at the same time, the administration has clearly indicated to Pentagon, we are not looking for war with Iran. Now we know why. The whole situation is very clear. And out of Iranian nation, we make such a response. Your Excellency, President Trump, you went to North Korea to get peace, to get Nobel Prize. It didn't work. You sent your son-in-law to Israel to start a peace plan between Palestinians and Israelis. Unfortunately, he got there one day too early, and the Israeli Prime Minister has resigned, has no ground. So the peace talks are on the ground, off the ground. Because we know many people tried, and 2 or 3 American presidents getting peace between Palestinians and Israelis, they got their Nobel Prize. They thought that would be another way in through the marriage, they might get the Nobel Prize. We give you a clear indication, Your Excellency. The Nobel Prize for American President administration sits in Tehran. The mean is very simple. We invite you to Tehran as a first president during the Iranian Revolution and after Nixon, the last time. This will give you a Nobel Prize, ending a 40 years of conflict for no reason. And the Iranian government welcomes you. We take your forces to be your, what we call, forebearers of peace. At the same time, Iranian coastlines will be open to the all the American forces. You welcome home. And the only way the American administration will get a peace prize is if peace achieved on the grounds of the Iran or Iranian heads of states meeting on the grounds of White House. We saw the end of the monarchy of Iran on the grounds of the White House in 1970s with the President Peanuts. Maybe this time with President Trump in Tehran, we can resolve and he can have his Nobel Prize. The situation is very simple. As the Keshe Foundation, we stand strong as Keshe Foundation. We share technology. In the coming days, we will make an announcement in respect to the American government and American Keshe Foundation work. This will be done by our team in the United States. We are very clear and adamant about this. And in a way, we take the Keshe technology right into the heart of American government. There are two ways. We bring peace through technology, and the other way is we share the knowledge through the technology. As I said, cannot be again coincidental. Us last Thursday clearly indicating we demand peace, and we closed all the doors. Within 36 hours, Iranian government for the first time on the military announcing they have a new advanced hidden technologies, two of them, and we have seen the sign of peace disarming boats. And at the same time, we see the request American president asking the Japanese prime minister this time to intervene. Last time he asked him to intervene to get the Nobel Prize for North Korea. The Japanese prime minister refused. But this time, Japanese prime minister is willing, and the Iranian national government is ready to accept President Trump as a sign of closure of all the conflicts. And that'll be the last war. As I said, there will be no more war, except those which has been going on for past few years, that they'll come to an end with this war. You got to understand, we are very clever, we understand a lot. Americans thought that with them becoming an oil producer more than anybody else, they can dictate. But as I've been in the oil business for over 30, 35 years, nobody told the president, we are producing the wrong oil. We cannot export. We are producing a lot of oil, but it's of the wrong type because the refineries cannot use it. We don't have enough refineries to use this oil. So they put pressure on Saudis to produce more to cover what they thought they were going to cover. For this reason, the pressure of Iran is reduced because what they thought they can produce more is storage increased by the wrong oil. You got to understand in the oil industry, it's very simple. Each refinery is tuned and filtered for a specific oil. You cannot take oil from another position to refine unless you have the facilities, and it's very expensive to do a light crude to a heavy or to medium to sweet oil. All these needs a specific, every factory, every refinery is set for a specific use. And the Americans unfortunately didn't realize most of the ones which they produce with already locked up to China. Therefore, we saw where the mistake was made. I was explaining to Rick that they suddenly see changes with Canada regarding the grain and steel and aluminium. That is, suddenly America dropped all the taxes and everything's going to be a brothership and no more taxes on Canadian aluminium and steel. The reason for this was because President Trump put a tax on the Iranian steel and aluminium, which was getting to the United States. He boycotted, he locked it down, and the American industry started shouting where we're going to get it. Now, at least we get it from Canada than Iran, but at the same time, we've seen the grain situation from China hitting back, is creating mayhem in Canada, as Rick was telling me, and we've seen the American farmers are hitting very heavily. The American economy is down the doldrums in the next 6 months, And the only way we see to get out of all these problems is, in fact, to talk peace, making one nation. You got to understand what is on the horizon as a Keshe Foundation supporters. In the coming months, as you will see, technologies will become, you will hear a lot about Keshe Foundation industrialization in the coming weeks and months, beyond your imagination, beyond what you could think. What these things mean, in a way, a new technological industrial zone cycle has started. We see it, we know what's happening, we're keeping very close, tight now with it till it's done in its normal channel. The fact is very simple. With a new technology, for example, at the moment, when you produce something, let's say in Shanghai in China, to get to London or New York, it takes, let's say, 6 weeks, 8 weeks. There's a lot of storage, there's a lot of backup, there's a lot of distribution, and everything else, plus the shipping. With the new technology which will come out of China and Iran, the same container can be delivered from Shanghai to New York or to London or to Tehran within less than 1 hour. We are in the process of commercialization, industrial commercialization. We keep very quiet, but technology is on the move. So you have to understand, once this comes in, it'll change a lot of things about the shipping. A lot of global warming done by the heavy ships, which now causing most of it, will cease to exist, because if you have to pay $1,100, $1,500 for a box from Shanghai to London or to Tehran or to New York, now with less than a couple of $100 within 1 hour, the cycle has changed. We'll see that most of the nations be able to produce their own products, their own steel, their own copper. The industrial revolution on this is on the way. Therefore, what we call, whatever each nation produces for itself, unless it wants to trade, it becomes a thing of the past. This will affect African nations heavy. So we are working in the direction to bring African nations to support self-sufficient through, hopefully, One Belt One Road work of the business of China, which the Keshe Foundation becomes the backup in the way of supporting agricultural growth and industrial growth in these nations. It is a collaboration, the same as with Americans, the same as Chinese, the same as Iranians, the same as all of us. We hear and we see a lot of Keshe Foundation supporters are coming up with new ways of doing things. In the coming 6 months, by Christmas, we are planning to open around 12 factories around the world, industrial zone estate. So we are looking for talents across Keshe Foundation worldwide. Marketing, design, commercialization, everything else. The decision has to be made how we're going to do it and how we're going to structure it in the next few weeks. Therefore, whoever has designed new technologies, new ways, in any shape or form, Keshe Foundation has been divided in 3 categories. One category is the manufacturing, as we call industrial state zone, like what you call manufacturing production of different gases, what we call whiteware, the things you've seen the Keshe Foundation has put in. Keshe Foundation is bringing a second company into operation, which is the service industry, very much like a software. You buy apps and you buy upgrades, you buy programs and that kind of thing. We have a lot of these things too. In a way, it's a scientific support team. We expect this to be much busier than the manufacturing. And then the Keshe Foundation is setting up what we call industrial production, which means now we produce the gases. We cannot give a half a liter of the gas to a farmer and says water it. We are coming up with new industrial machinery, new cycle of work to produce systems that allows the farmers or agriculturists or the doctors to use in a way a mass scale production. These all has been set up. We've been quiet for a long time, but now In the coming weeks, we'll set up a structure that you can be part of it. We're looking for worldwide operation. We will announce sometime in the next few days the nations which we are prepared to finance for production of the factories in conjunction with China. This is very important. Wherever we open factories from now on, we sit with our partners of the Chinese government, who's part of our work worldwide, in a way that we come in with this very solid hand. We're coming with a full support and a structure of the ethos of the Chinese government. This means next year we plan for 50 industrial zones. We do not talk about factories anymore. Factories producing gases is literally become a heart, the center. With it, each industrial zone will have its own agriculture, health, wear, whatever in that country is needed. We are transferring not only gas making, we are transferring full industrial zone technology. Those of you who've been in China, you have seen the news in Chinese media about the Keshe Foundation, the first new industrial zone, which is coming into operations, getting done. We kept out of it, but as the knowledge has been released on the internet, many Chinese friends have seen us. We are talking about 300,000 square meter factories in a larger scale, and even these are not big enough to meet the demand what the Keshe Foundation set up. These kind of things, the structures, doesn't need only people who understand how to make gases or how to make a dynamic ball. We are looking for ideas, structures, what you have made or you think it can be done, converting it into industrial goods, industrial program that it can help. And at the same time, the programs that we put on, we are looking in so many ways to employ about 100,000 plus within the next 12 months. These will be announced, will be located in 3 countries, China, United States, and in Europe. We've decided to split our operation in 3 ways. China will become the heart, the center point of all the activities of the Keshe Foundation for China and, in a way, East Asia. We see Europe, one of the European nations, already will start work. They will receive the headquarters to cover Middle East and Europe. And then we have America, which looks after South America in so many ways, Africa and Australian continent in that direction. And this operation is all been set. We are ready to go, and that's why we are announcing we are on the verge of release. Our Chinese friend, you've been waiting for some times. We are on the way to move on, and we look for your support. We don't want people who know how to make gases. We want those of you who have talents and expertise and understand the work of the gas and the work of the Keshe Foundation. We are looking for absolute expertise, human resources, design, in agriculture, in medicine, in defense. We are opening the door to a new science, and thanks to the Office of His Excellency President Xi of China, Keshe Foundation has been given this opportunity through the structure of Chinese government to be able to do. We are not looking for any financing. Therefore, whatever decision is made in China is supported. We have been sorted. We can go to the next step. We are looking for your expertise. China will receive the same support as America and European continent. We are looking to make one nation in structure of the spread of the knowledge and technology. The whole idea is that we have moved on, and now we will not be able to work and do one small factory here, one small factory there. The structure is an industrial zone. The structure is a blueprint industrial zone, and all factories around the world as a blueprint will be built and made by the Chinese construction companies. Therefore, everything will be done through China. Most of the machinery which needs for setting up, most of the structure of the heavy industrial application will be made in China. We don't have any option. There are not other countries who can support such a thing until we find alternatives. In this process, I thank the whole of the Keshe Foundation China. Many of you know who you are. Many of you have been working with us in the background, supporting the foundation in the past months. We done our work, and now we start moving. The same with America. I thank Arman. He's literally put everything online to get this thing moving. We are ready to go. We have moved on. We see in Europe, the European Keshe Foundation, they literally went through the line. Literally, we even crossed the line many times. But we stood fast, we held on, and we are on the verge of moving on. We try to support Keshe Foundation technical development by those who understand and they can support us through development. It is all three sides of the Keshe Foundation, except space and defense, will be in the public domain till we sort out the space and what we call defense, because we don't think defense is needed much, but the space is a part which we all concentrate on. And as I said, we have given the guarantees to the Chinese government on signing of the agreement, 6 months landing on the moon within hours, and 12 months landing human, what we call colonizing in numbers, not one or two. We are on target, we are working in that direction. And now you understand what peace means. We don't need to create wars where we can cross each other's borders. And as I said, borders are man-made. If a camel does not know which Saud is and which one is a man, why should a man have a passport to cross which line and could be enemy? If mankind has put himself so low than the animals, that's the mankind's problem to put back himself at least to the level of animals. We don't see no birds carrying a passport, and we see no lions crossing lines of the nations shows his passport. Why have we done to ourselves as human being wonders me for years. So in this development, nationhood becomes a big problem. Culturehood becomes an advantage. We share each other's culture, we enjoy each other's culture, but culture has no border. If you're a Chinese and you live in New York or in Tehran or in Africa, you still make your fried rice and the rest of it. And if you're an American, you go still to the restaurant in China and have your burger. That's the exchange of culture. There's no border. Nobody says, can you give us a passport? We carrying a burger across, how are you going to sell it? It's what we carry. And this is part of the work of us as Keshe Foundations. Many Keshe Foundation supporters very close to us suffered in past 12 months with what I decided to get to the point we are today. I thank you all. You suffered heavily, but one day you understand the reason behind it. And you appreciate why we did it this way. Is not, as Seattle said, I did it my way. I did it our way. That we are all supported, and we don't have to run for skirmishes from one to another place just because some people have decided. Can you hear me?
Yes, clearly.
Clearly, no problem. So what it means, we are on the verge. We are not on the verge, we crossed the line. And a lot of Keshe Foundation supporters, more or less, suffered. And we went through a lot of pain in trying to reorganize, restructure. But it's not going to be, there's not going to be honey and what we call cream tomorrow. It's a process of redevelopment, restructuring, and putting people in the positions they are and making a structure for Keshe Foundation internationally as one structure. We are very powerful because for the first time, the power of changing our lives, looking after our health, looking after our agriculture, looking after clean water, looking after our shelter is in our own hand. Does not matter whether I leave you in the desert or in Siberia or anywhere in the world. Once you understood the process of making energy and the plasma, you can survive. And then this is what it makes us. We don't need the others. And nobody can play the game of, I give you this, you give me that. The only thing mankind can exchange from now on is love, care, and looking after each other. I'm not sentimental. I can see what the Keshe Foundation has set up and gone through in past few months. The more they blocked us, the easier we found the solution. Many of you were wondering what happened to us suddenly in Ghana. We caught our manager taking a lot of funds out of the foundation and literally damaging the foundation. And the next thing they did to tell us, they placed a picture of Mr. Red Circle on their Facebook. This was the job of the Belgians. We said, thank you very much. You showed us we have a weakness. And for that, we sorted out our weakness. In a way, now both end up in prison. Very much so. We have taken assurances for prison sentence for both, on both cases, and we will see soon. Therefore, the whole thing was, we go to any country, they try to call and make a lot of things, and the Belgians have told them, whatever we pay you, whatever you like, damage as much as you can, threat as much as you can. Now, we see the strong with the government of China. Assets belongs to the Chinese nation, technology belongs to Keshe Foundation. Play as much as you can. This is what the game change is. We work with the strength of our knowledge. You touch anyone, you touch the finances of the biggest nation on this planet. Now many of the Keshe Foundation supporters understand our work. This is what it is. We work, we share knowledge, and with it, we take many friends. The biggest, and I thank especially those who sat and thought they were very winning in Africa, that you show the weakness in my structure, trusting a man. And in that process, I learned I trust the humanity, not a man. And I brought the technology in a way into the hand of the most human nation on this planet. It took time. It took time to do a lot of work. And now we are very solid. We as a Keshe Foundation, we as a spreading of the knowledge. We are not the financiers anymore that they can touch. We sit with the support and we clearly indicate where we are going. And that's why, if you understand, when I speak about what is about to happen and what Iran is going to do, because we have the strength and knowledge and the power and the backing of the people who can back the technology and support of it. In this way, I thank all the Keshe Foundation supporters. Those people very close to us went through a lot of problem, because when you find where there could be a weakness or people think is your weakness, is the point of your strength. Because they have shown you what you have to cover, how you have to cover. And that beautiful picture which appeared on a Facebook with the Facebook of Ben and then picture of the red circle, as we done what we wanted, that was actually the demise of their own work. We thank you for you. As I said, nobody has served us better than those who thought they're damaging us, because they showed us where we are weak, where we didn't calculate it. Now we are back in this very strong way, and we want you to share your knowledge with us. We want you to share your expertise with us, but please don't think because you made ganses, you're very good at it. If you make ganses and you're an artist and you can understand, or a scientist, you can understand the influence of the gas with your knowledge and what we can make to benefit the others, join us. Join us because we are here to bring the knowledge into the peaceful application. And join us because it's the future of yours and your children. We don't play the game of the beautiful planet. The planet is beautiful. We invite you with this process to join us to the universal family, which means you enter, you decided to go the peace path, and the knowledge comes with it. As I said, there are too many coincidences, and it cannot be two coincidences. On the 3rd of December 2011, we announced that we're going to show the power of the technology. On the 4th of December, the most advanced drone was captured. Many times, any others, we speak to the Senate of the United States on the Thursday. On a Monday, we get a passage through. We speak last Thursday about the advancement of technology with the knowledge of a nation. In past 5 or 6 days, Iran is not even on the headline in a way. CNN has forgotten about it. Because CNN built this to be Fox Media was there to hype up a war, and now they find out it was the biggest blunder they ever made. In so many ways, I said to you, we bring it to you that you understand. Now we have seen with the small hurricanes in Central America, Central what you call the United States, has brought the nation to start looking inwards what we're going to do with disasters if it comes worse. And in a way, we should be ready to support them. We should be there to help. That will come to all of us in so many ways. Many Iranian carpenters should be there in Dallas and the rest with all these tornadoes and what we see, so many homes dismantled. This should be a place we can go to somebody's home. We can find a shelter till the problem is over. And this new technology is on the verge of delivering it. It's not on the verge, we are done. We have a lot of things which we deliberately keep away. And I decided about a year ago that I keep all the development of technology into small cells that no one can damage any cell. That we could develop, we could go forward, we could go to the next step. And in that process, we have managed to in so many ways, put the new technologies and with our new partners, we have to only develop. This is the beauty, the gift I give you. From now on, as knowledge seekers, as Keshe Foundation supporters, the only thing we have to do is to serve humanity. Come up with new technologies, new designs, new machinery which makes life easier, cleaner. And we have the financial backing of the biggest nation on this planet, the government of China, to develop. Many scientists, many developers, many inventors, when they invent, they dream if they can find a financier, somebody to finance them, to become what they call a spin-offs. Sitting here today, I thank the Office of His Excellency President Xi and the Chinese government and CPC and the rest of the group which has been sitting around us to make this happen, for such an opportunity to bring humanity out of the problem, be it in China and the rest of the world. And this gives us a big advantage. We have to allow American side to stand on its own. If you cannot, if it doesn't happen, we get the support of Chinese government financially, like as they've done up to now. The same will be in Europe and in Africa. Those of you who are close to Keshe Foundation know, you've been aware this is about to come. We are just on the verge of releasing it, and Keshe Foundation, wherever we make home to build our factories, you will see a banner. Keshe Foundation, one belt, one road. This is the beauty of it. We do not operate under any nation which is not member of One Belt One Road. This is part of our work. Or we have been given an agreement by the Chinese to move on and do open. We are scientific, intellectual, commercial organization, and the commerce of it, the finance of it, the decision of the opening of every factory, what I call industrial zone, sits between the cooperation between One Belt, One Road and the Keshe Foundation, does not matter where. This is why you have seen in the past few weeks a number of European countries have joined One Belt, One Road. Those are the ones which have benefited very rapidly in the next few weeks. The first factories around Europe will hit, will land, will be there. We're working on it. We kept very quiet. As of this week, we have started moving on, and hopefully, well, first week of June, many of you move on. You will hear structures around the world, and we need you as Keshe Foundation scientists, developers, to join in, that we can expand and through it bring peace. Is this cycle will take another 30 to 50 years. It's not going to be tomorrow. Because there are a lot of things which have to do. As I said, one of the main concerns, we can demonstrate the shipping from Beijing to New York. But this will revolutionize the shipping lines, and you can imagine how many millions of people are involved in this game. The coming of the new technology should not, as much as possible, damage the life of others. It has to become an addition. It's not a revolution in science, it's not a revolution in industry, it's a revolution in man's understanding to be kind to himself and to the others. In a way, we'll deliver the new technology, but every step we have to look after the others. What are we going to do with all these sailors? We have a big problem, and this problem will come out of what I said, and as our colleagues in Iran has confirmed this week. Tehran, Washington, a few minutes. What are we going to do with all these planes? What are we going to do with all these airports we built? What are we going to do with all these borders we created? What are we going to do with those who might abuse this freedom? These are all parts of rapid evolution of change. Today, we hear one of the most heinous men in the world lost his seat as a president. He's not going to be most probably a prime minister. And we start seeing peace in the Middle East. How we're going to accommodate the Arabs, what they call the Jews, the Christians, the Shias and Sunnis live together. Because we don't need each other anymore to depend on. We need each other to be happy with, to have a friend. Because in the coming time, the feeding and looking after all of us will be in the hand of us. How are we going to look after the old? How are we going to teach the young? How are we going to accommodate millions of people who do not die anymore in short term? Extensions of life to 100, 200. Is there a problem if we go over 7, 10, 20, 30 billion? This planet can feed because we can create the energy to feed it. We don't need to rely on the plants and the fish. It's a luxury if you want, but you do not die of hunger. In so many ways, I hope nobody goes crazy. And as I heard and I saw, Americans announced they're going to take 15,000 new soldiers to the Middle East. And we found out this week they had 1,500. 600 of them is just extending their stay, and 900 of them has been redeployed from somewhere else just to be busy. It shows the European nations are fed up of wars and conflict. They have drawn the line. To attack Iran the last time needed, what we saw with the Libya, Syria, needed the French, the German, the British, the Italians, the Australians, and everybody else. This time, he's the only clown in town. Nobody moved. And you cannot do these kind of things on your own when you don't even have the resources to pay for the debts of it. It was easy to sell currency papers in the market, promissory that we pay, and governments who were buying these promissories, they give a promise of peace. We spend it on the technologies like Keshe Foundation than buying the material that we have to fight back. And then we get clocked down with what we call tariffs. Everything has changed. I think I said to somebody very recently, the best thing happened for humanity to come to the point of maturity of peace, and they trumped themselves. Most probably, President Trump will be written as one of those without knowing or knowingly caused the world peace. Because he showed the weaknesses of his nation. He showed how vulnerable his nation is. By putting tariffs on the others, he taxed his own people. At the same time, caused the others to stop doing what they were giving. It brought humanity to a standstill that, hey, why should we feed these people? Why should we lend them money? Then they boycott us. We keep it inside. I think President Trump deserves a Nobel Prize for creating a condition that everybody realized they don't want a war anymore. That's the crown and the jewel of it is when he meets and comes to Iraq. We greet him with love and care, not just because he's the president of the United States. It's just that he's got a son-in-law who was Jewish, and we love Jews in Iran. We sheltered them for centuries. And this hypocrisy of hating each other becomes part of loving each other. My biggest sorrow is how we're going to build Babylon, how we're going to build Iraq, how we're going to build Syria and Libya back to their glory. And in so many ways, has the religion played this game? And now we're getting fed up with it. Have the politicians, they play their games, and we're getting fed up with it. And have the monarchies run out of steam to monarch. And in so many ways, I was sitting and looking a few days ago, thinking, all I do is I teach. I don't see any of you. I don't know. Maybe a very few faces, but there's thousands of you out there. And your work has brought the condition of peace. You're spreading the knowledge, you're teaching the knowledge. You made money out of it, you're making money out of it. That's why we brought the technology. Why should I be angry with it? Why should I share? But this time, the way we are doing it is to make sure that as many people as possible benefit by the knowledge and the technology. And that's what it is. I have no attachments, and I see many of you share knowledge, you use the knowledge, you don't tell anybody where the knowledge came from, and then you make license certificates and all sorts with it, and that's good. But now we are going to do it in a bigger way, most perfect way that everybody gets benefit by it. And I hope you all join us. As I said, I resigned from the head of the Keshe Foundation to have time to do what I've done and what we have achieved. I thank many of the Keshe Foundations in China. Without you, it was impossible to achieve what we've achieved here. And in so many ways, uh, we don't have heroes, but we have true Keshe Foundation supporters, knowledge seekers. And be it in different part of Europe, part of America, South America, or Africa, we've done this collectively, and I know many of you making a living selling different kind of ganses, different kind of applications, and this is good. But when we come to your country, when we come to your nation to um, deliver, please understand that we come with a hand of peace, and you can join us in it. I'm sure our colleagues in United States will announce in the coming days what they're going to do and how they're going to do the management of the factories. I'm sure you will hear from the Keshe Foundation in Europe how the new industrial zones will start taking shape in the next 6 months, 12 months. And if you were in China, you already know we are on the move. Government offices have announced it and published the pictures. And in so many ways, we have started to change. And in so many ways, thanks to all of you. I wondered if we have a better news from our American friends, if we would see Donald Trump in Tehran in coming months, maybe in a year, and maybe we could give him the Iranian Peace Prize. And then with that, when the sanctions goes and everything opens up, the Iranians don't need to get on the boats and in the back of the camels to escape from what they were conditioned into by the Americans. But I wonder if we ever learn from it, or would we confine ourselves to peace? In the past few months, we have tried to make time to answering questions, and in it to enlighten and add to their knowledge. If there are any questions that you want to go in more depth or something you want to share, would you like Rick to bring it up and see what we can do?
Okay, thank you, Mr. Keshe. And once again, I'll remind the attendees in our Zoom chat here that they can raise their virtual hands and we can allow you to speak. And the panelists, if you want to go ahead and you put up your hand if you like, or if you have a question, please come forward. We have a comment from Chris in the YouTube channel, who mentions there are no words sufficient to show gratitude and appreciation for what Mr. Keshe has done for humanity. Wisdom is truly mightier than the sword. And George mentions, no doubt, Earth history right before our eyes. Thank you, Mr. Keshe. It would be an honor to someday meet you. And then Chris says, my soul is in affinity with the work of the foundation. I have had a few contacts with Mr. Keshe in the spirit. We have a question in the Q&A from Aline from Romania, but perhaps you want to stay with the topic here, first.
Any questions will do.
I'll ask Alan's question. Perhaps Alan can ask his question himself. That would be best. Alan, would you like to go ahead with your question? Can you unmute, or would you prefer not to? Well, I'll start to ask the question, and maybe he can join in. So he says, "Hello, it's Aline from Romania. Put this question to Mr. Keshe for everyone's understanding. I understand the instant communication of my body when I decide to go and do it instantly, when I catch my hand instantaneously, etc., through the total field of physics. Are the last step in communicating with humanity, with the universal community? How do my soul grow to be part of the totality field?" So,
Explain.
yeah, that's why I'd rather have him speak. Aline, I'll unmute you and see if you're able to speak there. I'll try to unmute. It's not unmuting. Okay, I'm going to promote you to panelist, and that'll give you a better opportunity with the microphone, perhaps. And we'll see if that works. Otherwise, if you can explain your question a little more. The way I understand it is that he's already understands the idea of instant communication, as in with his body and with his hands and so on. But what is the next step in communicating with the universal community, and like through the soul? How does the soul grow to be part of the totality field?
We have to learn a little bit about our own dimensions, our own strength. And in so many ways, in a very small way in the past teachings, and a little bit in respect to what Jalal was teaching last week, and in some ways, a couple 2 or 3 years ago, in Barletta, Caroline showed part of the energy transfer of the body. The first thing we have to learn is how do we extend the fields of our body? How do we find the boundaries of it? And then in that process, what do we see in the interaction with the field? It's not that overnight you're going to jump to what I call the boundaries. Is learning through detachment. A lot of people always say, when we used to teach in Trani, we had, I think they were Portuguese or a Spanish couple, young couple, sitting on the same seat, very much in the front row. And they were there as the first students in the institute. And many times when I came to teach about the fields of the body and how we can transfer energy, and I could say you can, like trying to move a book or shift something, I could see the expression on the face of the boy. He used to really concentrate, like there was a pen or something on the table in front of him, and wishing that by thinking is going to just jump the pen, and then he achieved something. And the concentration and use of energy was so intense that it used to make me laugh, because I said once unto them, you have not understood. This is not magic. This is understanding the operation of your own soul, operation of your own strength, and does not come by, sorry, sitting and pushing. It will not come out that they hit the pen. We are too physical and we make mistakes between head and tail, what we do with ourselves. In so many ways, I have taught you in a very simple ways from the beginning. And I go back to it now. We are more mature, maybe to understand more of it. And that is, if you go back to some of the original teaching, I said, if you can raise your hand and put your hand out, and you wish for gold, there'll be gold in your hand. You wish for the water, there'll be water in your hand. You wish for energy, that energy becomes absorbed in your skin and become food to you, that you don't need to kill. We, in all our teaching, talk about 80% of the energy we absorb is from the surrounding. 20%, maybe even less, is from what we put inside us. Therefore, one of the first steps, if you want to become a member of universal community, is to understand how you can extend your strength of your soul, that encompasses the whole of your physicality, that the others don't see the physical dimension, but they see the soul of the man. And it is very important that we start learning this process, and this process comes from detachment. We put our hand out to create something, but that something is not just to create, is to be able to have a use for. We should not look for confirmation of the understanding. We should look for the information that we understood. There's a big difference. So if you extend your hand near your face and you can see, you can feel, I don't need to eat food. I have transferred the energy from my soul to my hand that is physically converted. Or I can look and create a drop of rain on my hand. Or I can look and create protein that I can feel the fattiness of it, that this energy is absorbed to my body. Then you start seeing, if you can see your hand as a light. Remember, your hand is a dynamic field and your soul has a dynamic field. What happens when the earth meets sun? It's the daylight. And then you can, in time, extend that light to literally passes your total dimension of physicality. And in that point, because it becomes a ball of fields, then it has to dictate its position in respect to the planet or anything else. You create the condition of the motion of the soul of the man. These things takes time. These things needs total confidence and total detachment. As long as we are attached to the dimension of physicality, forget about it. To you is a fairy tale. Most probably is a tale which on the other end of it there is no fairy. Because you still do to confirm, you do not do to inform. If mankind reaches that point, then individually you become passengers of the universe. Let me explain it this way. You confirm the work of your soul to the confirmation of the existence of your physical body. Now you have to learn to confirm that existence beyond the dimension of physicality of the body of the man by yourself. There are ways to do it, and each man has to find his way. Each man, for every person who manages to do that, in a way you don't need the dimension of physical life. And then you become a ball, you become a soul. And this is what I taught many times, especially in past few months, is when you take the physicality inside the soul. It's not that the soul is a very tiny things and you try to get all the physicality in. You extend the size of the soul of the man, that it becomes so that it doesn't need to be the size of the body of the man, but when it encompasses, it brings man to be the size of itself as a soul. Sometimes, if you have seen that very much fast balls, lights move, it's been, and you might see, oh, it was I just saw something. These are many people, many beings who go through that process. It could be even the soul of the man which has just left the body, what we call at the point of death. When man becomes educated, when man becomes knowledgeable in this process, then man can do a lot of these things. How to reach, how to be able to do. Then you become a member of universal community because you become detached from the planet. Because as long as you got a foot on this ground, on this planet, there is no way you can detach yourself from the life of it. And the minute you manage to do this, you have become part of universal community. I remember some times ago, Armand said, I lost 2 of my balls. They disappeared, I can't find them. In so many ways, they became part of the universal community because the strength of their soul dictates the position of them. And everything which has a life dynamic is and has a soul. Many of our old traditional researchers have moved in that way. They start understanding and they start thinking in the direction of the soul, in the direction of humanity, in the direction of producing conditions that can be and can be added. You see a large number of knowledge seekers, especially those who have been around for some time and been testing, have started testing in the dimension and direction of the soul. And once you achieve that, you have become a member of the universal community because you have become detached. Try it with your hand. Try to understand the field of your hand. A very nice exercise which has, we saw with Jalal last week and we saw with Caroline sometimes ago, a few years ago, is that you bring your hand together to feel the fields. When you reach that field, move a little bit further out and see, can I still see the field? Can I feel the field? And if you can, move it slightly more further out and see if I can still trace it. And wait there till you can feel it. You can feel the transfer of energy from one hand to another. Move your hand, see if it works. And if you lost it, go back to where you found it. And then you start extending it. This way, you extend the fields of understanding, the fields of your body. And then you can do the same thing with the rest of your body in a way of positioning. And gradually, If you master it, you position the soul of the physicality in respect to the soul of the man, and then you become part of. In a way, you start from a proton, which is the soul of the man, and electron, which is the soul of the physicality of the man, and you let them merge. You make one neutron. Singularity. Creation of the origin of the creation. We call it in the nuclear physics reverse neutron, which means we add the field strength of the electron into a proton, and we make a magnetic field the strength of a neutron, which is singularity. And it's just being able to amalgamate. It's in a simple way. In one of my papers, I've written this in a way that time man could understand the dimension of physicality. It's called interatomic fusion. If you read the back of the book, the list of it is there. In a way, that is interatomic fusion. That is when you bring the dimension of physicality of the man, confirms his physical dimension, into dimension of the soul of the man, you have fused, you have created a fusion. That paper in so many ways was not written for energy. It was written for today's time, when the man understands the work of the existence of the creation of the soul of physicality and its embracement by the soul of the man. You see, I write my papers and books in many languages. It's for those who understand to interpret what it is. So what we teach you, pick up the paper called Interatomic Fusion and read it. And then you see, you read the story of the soul of the man and how you can bring the soul of physicality into this dimension. Unfortunately, I don't have time to write papers as I used to before, but by all these teachings, you can make papers yourself.
Mr. Keshe, would it be possible to do a little whiteboard example of what you were just describing about the interatomic fusion?
You see, if you read the paper, I think it's in the back of the book, if you have a list of the papers, it's called Interatomic Fusion. What interatomic fusion? Because they were talking in the time as the soul of the man, as what you call it in the nuclear industry. They call it the cold fusion, and they call it all sorts of things. And I say fusion is an impossibility. If you have any common sense and knowledge of physics, colliding two electrons or two protons to release energy and with the energy of the sun is as much as God knows pigs will fly. But if we look at an electron and a proton, which we have, one is dimension of the size. The electron itself, in a way, is in reality within the soul, the strength of the proton. And if you really go into the depth of it, the proton is within the soul of the electron. How do we extend that this dimension, somewhere the average out between the two? But as we see the magnetosphere of the, what we call the proton, in a way, when we squeeze it back in, what happens when you release a lot of energy? The new dimension becomes a light, what we call a soul. Because in compromise, and at the same time now, they're both in the same position. It does not mean that this will join in. It means it joins within the atmosphere, with the magnetosphere of this, but inside the balance field of the two. Then you call this a fusion, you call it a fusion, because now if you understand this, the true shape is something like this. We do not see this, but we see this, and this extends to that they all become one. And then you see the light. In other way, if you look at it, the present physics says if you merge the two, you hit them together, they release some energy, and that becomes a fusion, because the two reach that point. And when I explained this to one of my professors, he laughed. He said, Mehran, you know something? You look at it in a very funny way. I said to my professor one day, do you know what they call it with the fusion? I said, it's confusing as the fusion itself. I said, we increase the speed and crash them together to create a high energy rate of the sun, and we have one cell. We call it the fusion. They fuse together. And this is what tokamaks were. I said, but this fusion happens all the time. They come together, they hit each other, and we don't get any energy. He said, what are you talking about? I said, look, this is an egg, this is a sperm. They hit each other, they become one. They hit each other, they become two. They hit each other, they become three. They hit each other, they become four. They hit each other, they become five. They hit each other, they become six. They hit each other, they become seven. They hit each other, they become eight.
Sorry, Mr. Keshe, we lost part of the audio
Because
there. From the egg and the sperm, they
when they
hit
hit each
each
other,
other, and then we lost it.
no, yes, I know. It's when I said when they hit each other, the egg and the sperm, they don't release a huge amount of energy. We don't see a mother going boom, light coming out of her. How come we expect this to happen in the theory of the man in CERN and the others? Oh, they go and it's a chemical reactions and blah blah. I said, it's a fusion. This is the most natural fusion we have every day. So fusion, the way the scientists talk about it's not impossible, but um, it's a fairy tale. As I wrote a paper, nuclear fusion is a story which never come true. Because if fusion was true the way the scientists are explaining to us, that they can bring two atoms close to each other, and then they merge, and they become one and they release energy, yes, now we know it, and it should, that energy release called the human. But where does the energy go? It gathers more. Then we understand more in effect and the essence of the creation. I've taught this many times, and for those of you who are after an answer, I repeat it again. Maybe you look at it in a different way. When an egg and a sperm come together, if you can hear me, I lost my screen. Can you hear me?
Yes, we hear you fine.
Yeah, I lost my screen. Wait till it comes back. We're working on two different lines. So we just gotta wait for it to come back and we can restart. If we look at an egg and sperm, this is the best fusion mankind will ever know. We don't know any better than this. in that process, when the energy of the two are shared, it leads to creation of a new cell. But this cell on its own has already released some of its energy. But what has done, it has increased its mass force of the two to one. And this central energy, I lost it again. Thank you very much. Is the, what do you call it? It's very busy lines. The amalgamation of the two energies creates a center mass plus the two center mass which there existed. So there are three masses. And this mass, center mass, is slightly higher than the two. And what does this do? It attracts, absorbs energy from the environment to extend, to be able to hold on to the continuity of the existence and life. And as I said, if there's the two, you still have, and the process is ongoing, the two, now you have three. Now, the totality of the center mass pulling together demands new energies. And these new energies, while this process is getting established in the center, gets absorbed. As I said, 80% of the energy of the man comes from the environment. These cells get loaded. And then in that process of loading, this receives energy trying to balance, and it divides into four. The energy comes from the environment of the womb of the mother, not from inside the cell. And in that process, it repeats and repeats itself till it reaches a point that the center point does not get dissolved again to be divided, but it becomes independent enough to be able to sustain and keep distance and position in respect to all the cells which are absorbing energy from the womb of the mother and the environment. And in that process, when that center line, that eventuality of the confirmation of independent sharing of all the energies together, in a way, if you look at it, we call it so many cells are created, so many cells are created that in that process, somewhere in the center becomes a balancer energy, but it has no dimension between all this. We call this the soul of the man. And then in trying to dimension, they continuously absorb energy and they increase. Then this dictates how much of you I can dictate, I can control. I decide your size because now I have to manage all of you. Then it becomes the size of the man. Physicality gives dimension to the soul. And then at the point that all want to be connected to it, the soul dictates how many I can carry. In a way, it's interatomic fusion. I collect whatever you want to share me, and the balance is mine to dictate what I can share with all of you. That's my size. You're short, the other one is tall, the other one is the blue, because if I can give some of this energy here to make you blue, I have to take it from the skin to stay white. Then I need some changes in the position and shape of organs. If you take the kidney and the shape of the man from Europe and compare it to the one from Africa, it's not exactly the same. Because it has to process different things. Different food. It looks the same shape as a kidney, but you try to go in there and have a look. And then it comes a process of evolution. How did we get so much kidney in such a shape? Very simple. Because it has, it must satisfy a need of, from the water I drank, I brought calcium. Okay, this is the shape of the kidney. This is for the calcium. I can handle this. Now the guys has started eating potassium. I have to make a filter for potassium. Then the guy has started eating in Africa different grains and they have different things. So I make another layer for it. And gradually it has to be squeezed. If you look at the shape of the kidney, is like a half lemon squeezed, that they can squeeze the juice out of it. It's very amazing how you see the shape of the organs. Look at the shape of the liver. It's a huge storage bank. I'm lazy. Anybody like anything, come in, I store you. And I sit right in the middle. So then man start eating different things. I eat no rice, but I eat potatoes. Most probably this is the shape of mine. But if I was eating potato, the shape of the kidney at this layer would have been like this. So evolution has come by the change of the need of the man. And then we see a structure. Oh, man must have been made and it's been brought in by other animals from the universe because Earth could not make such a thing. Earth hasn't made anything. It's just because now it's active, it has to receive fields and it has to get rid of it. It starts structuring itself. Even if you go to that limit and say, man has been brought in by another things. Okay, let's say you're right. But how did it make this man on the other planet? It must have gone through the same process. So if our planet, it wasn't so intelligent to make the man, and it was brought from another place and landed on the Earth, so that place must have had the intelligence and has gone through the same process. It doesn't make any difference. You're a chicken, you still got a liver. You got a man, you still got a liver. You're a dog, you still have a liver, and the same as a kidney. So you understand? Life can create anywhere, anytime. And the shape of it, if you look at it, the shape of a kidney, has God got a factory and he cuts pieces of skin, says this is the size of the liver or the kidney? Oh, the creation or interaction of the fields dictates the shape, the color of the kidney. So now we understand this. We play with gases different way. We have a spaceship without Boeing hangars, aircraft hangars, or the rest. And the strangest thing is, I had this discussion yesterday with an extremely talented scientist, and I had a meeting with them last week. Extremely talented scientists, and they say there is something wrong. And I said yesterday, in a very short way, I've explained this before. My technology, my knowledge is this high. Their knowledge is this high. They cannot understand when I teach this much to them, then there is something wrong with me, not with them not having enough knowledge. A man of ignorance wants to evaluate the science of God. Of course he is ignorant and he has to deny it because it shows he has no knowledge. Because then say, oh, if it is, you accept. What about you? Couldn't come up with it. No, I was so stupid I could not think. But now I have to reject this because I've been told I'm a professor. Because I don't see it. I know, but I've got to reject it. Thanks God we're passing these points because now we become the status of a knowledge and adding to the knowledge. And if you think of it, if you can see how the body of the man makes a kidney, how the body of the man makes the liver, how the body of the man makes a feature of the man. If you can have the bones which are solid out of nowhere, have you ever seen God putting somebody inside you and just creating new bone? You extend it, we've got to put the extension. Your height has increased by 1 centimeter, we put the calcium in a little bit, extend it. No. The position and the condition the body creates in respect to the soul of the man allows the man to create a new structure. Why do we grow? Have you ever asked yourself a simple question? Why do we grow? What's the reason behind the growth of the man? And it stops at a certain point. This is you and this is the planet. You were an accident of the life and the pleasure of a man and a woman. You became a soul. Now you have become a baby. Now you have this. Your soul is there. Now, this thing before was in the womb of the mother gathering energy and soul. Now you have popped out. Now you're gathering energy from the universe. You're still dividing and selling. And this soul keeps on moving because now it's getting more and more energy. It comes to the point that it has to find its balance with the earth, and that's it. Not only you have the dimension of the soul of the physicality of the man, the soul of the man, now you have the height of the man in respect to inertia, which is connected to your dimension of physicality, and to the soul of the man, which is connected to the soul of the planet, which is center of gravitational field force. The balance of the two gives you a height. Voila. And at the point when that reaches and the soul of the man, the soul of physicality find the balance, we call it, he's 18, he's matured, he's not putting in more height on. No, darling, because now the soul has found its position. And we change the womb. Did anybody feed the baby in the mother womb? No. He takes everything from the essence of the blood of the mother and percent and the liquid inside it. Then you see what happens. We do the same thing. We take it from the rain of the man, from the planet, and the weather of the man, from the universe, and that's it. We go to the certain size. What is the next step? Is when you lose the connection between the energy of the planet and the soul of physicality, the sky has to find a new position because there is no attachment and you're detached. You are free to find a new position in respect to the soul of the planet, and as you have new dimensions, you choose. As simple as ABC. Then here you call it gravitational magnetic field of Earth. This is the solar system. This is the galaxy. But the strength of my soul was so high, I'm a passenger of universe in planet Zeus. That's where I'm gonna land. Then we understand in that process of detachment from the inertial field force of the planet, we become the passengers of the universe. But with the experience and essence of life of the man, which is the planet Earth gravitational magnetic field balance. As simple as that. We got very good saying for us. We say man is Ashraf al-Makhluqat, means he's the complete head of all the creation. And I say man is Ahmaq al-Makhluqat, means he's the most stupid one, he thinks is so high. There's a slight difference playing with the word. Ashraf, which means the head, the crown. Ahmaq means a clown and is stupid because he thinks he is a crown. We have to understand the true structure of the man, how we become. And then if you can understand this totality of the soul of the man, understand the creation of the dimension of the soul of the man, and then you can, in a very simple way, dimension yourself in the dimension of physicality to connect your essence of the emotion of the soul of the man with the soul of a system, you can become passenger of the universe in any system. That's how simple it is. If you want to eat food, putting your hands around your neck to feed yourself and twist your neck, that's your problem. We eat direct. I was told that, you know, Mr. Keshe, in the teaching of last week, you showed fork and a knife. What about us Chinese with the right hand and chopsticks? Now, understand what I explained about the right hand. The right hand is a feeder, so the man continuously feed himself. He doesn't share. And this is part of understanding of the totality. And when you do that, you find different behavior. When you understand how to move the dimension of the soul of the man beyond the boundary of the physicality of the man, in a way you understand the strength of the soul of your physicality. That's the only way where you can move out of your dimension of physicality as a soul. Then you're a passenger of the universe because you're not attached to this planet. It could be half a centimeter away from this planet or half a million years, as they say, the light years by Einstein. I listened to a very eminent scientist yesterday. Uh, I thought it was a very beautiful analogy the way he put it. He said, the British made Newton and Darwin to show they're very intelligent, and the Germans had to show they have something extra. They made Einstein, but they're all the same stupid. But in so many ways, they had to have somebody who was their hero and near zero. We don't need to make these kind of conditions. We have to understand what does actually Newton meant and how does it apply to essence of the balance of the field forces of being a soul or a matter. And what did Darwin say? In so many ways, in the essence of that knowledge. But when it comes to another one called whatever, we find out we're dealing with a cloud. Just because they had it, we have to make up our own. It's very interesting. Those of you who know about the life of Einstein, he ended up for a while not very far from where we used to be in Belgium. And then they took him to America. And luckily we didn't go the same path. We lived near each other in by few tens of kilometers. But in reality, we have to understand this knowledge has no competition. This knowledge belongs to all of us, that we have to understand the truth. With that, we all become equal. And then we all become passengers of the universe. But there's one fundamental point, and that is this planet, in the interaction of the matters of the state of its existence, creates free energies of interaction of its fields. And in that process, if you look, if I can explain it in a very simple way, I give my part, and in the interaction with what comes from above, I create the soul, which I gradually grow to different height or whatever. And at the point when I have created the balance field between it and me, I let it go. I become the soul of the man in the dimension of universal community. And that's all it is. In the womb of the mother, we are few centimeters away. And as we grow to the point that we mature, and then we have no physical dimension. And according to what we have done and what we gathered as the soul of the man, we find our position in the dimension of community of the universe. The more we've been attached to physicality and the matter state, the lower we stay. And we stay according to our own intelligence to what we see. In a way, the growth of the man in a physical dimension is the essence of his own existence in a very simple, actual, direct way. And that's all it is. The elevation of the soul of man. And the further you gather, the more detached and further you become from the physicality. And that's all. That's the totality of the creation. And no more. When the body of the man absorbs enough from the dimension of physicality, that's, let's say, does not need more from the soul of the man, you die. So now you are free. And what you gathered in the dimension of the soul dictates the position. The elevation of the soul of the man in the dimension of the universe, because from to here, you are part of the planet. From here on, you are part of the universe, and you become part of the universal community. Death is not the point of separation. Death is a point of unification to the totality. But man has never been aware of this, and now it's time to understand. But you have another option where you can take the energy from the above to enlighten the soul of the man, that you not have in a way attachment to the physicality, and you take to the new dimension. And that's what we call the detachment, and you can fly. If flying means detachment and being able to find a position. That's all it is to the creation, and man makes it so difficult for himself. And we get tested every day, tested for ourselves to see what is the station of our soul. How much are we committed to what we believe on the totality of the Tetra? Members of the Keshe Foundation in past 12 months have been tested, as in the writing of one of our prophets. And I said many times, we test the fire with gold, and you know how we test a man. If the fire is hot, it can melt the gold. And then you can see how man is attached to the gold and what does it melt the man. We have to understand it's not that we're going to join the universal community. We eventually join the eventual community, because when you have detached from the physicality, where are you going to go? You think we have made a sack of potatoes somewhere just for the soul of the man from earth? It's a point of freedom or a point of unification. But with the present knowledge, you have a choice in which dimension and when you want to be. You want to be more attached or appear there, or you want to be more appear there, or you want in some points be both. That's all it is. And if you can't do that because you're too physical, I give you a spaceship and all the games and gadgets in it. You had the spaceship of the body of the man, you couldn't do much with it. What much do you think you can do with it? Here you lasted 100 years, you last here 1,000 years. At the end of it, your soul will come to the same position. No difference. Delaying gathering more strength to be higher, maybe. Any other question?
Thank you, Mr. Keshe. We have Marinez with her hand up. Want to go ahead, Marinez?
Hello. Hello, everybody. My name is Mehnaz. I'm Iranian, the country who respects and loves science. And actually, what I'm going to say is what I studied in high school for teachers in Qigong. But I was so amazed by Mr. Keshe's knowledge, I didn't dare to talk about it. And I asked, and I thank Jalal, because with the little I told him last year in private teaching, he used it, and this is the best student I could ever think of. So if you don't mind, I don't have the PowerPoints because I have problem with it this morning. If you don't mind, I start, depends on what you want, because I can talk hours and hours about my passion, with the confusions and questions of last week, because it was in my mind, if you don't mind, about energy of body and transmission point and give and take of the hand and senses.
Marinez, usually if somebody makes a presentation, we like to see the presentation before it's made so we know what's going on with it and so on.
All right. So
you've been told about that a couple of times before, and we can't just spring something on Mr. Keshe here. We need to clear it with him usually beforehand.
Yeah. Can I have the board?
Unless Mr. Keshe wants to go ahead with it.
What are we going to learn? I mean, what is
it's about the energy of it's about the energy of body, what said Jalal. In fact, we have 2 transmission points in the hand, which is called the Palace of Labor. And these are the Qigong points when you close the hand, where the third and second finger touch the palm of the hand. That's the point, Laogong. And there's another one at the back. And this is, our hand is like a leaf, which outside is another sort, which is yang, because it goes to the up, and Laogong, this point, is coming down to the earth, so it's yang. So it's a giver. And
okay,
so,
before getting into your teaching here, just to say that it's a key Qigong teaching, is that what you're saying?
It's many thousand years of tradition, which passed through Taoism, Buddhism, and Confucianism, and it's taught in some schools, medical schools in China and hospitals. And it's about the energy, immaterial energy, which circulates to the body, through the body. And it has nothing to do with the nose and tongue and other senses, because they have to do with brain and nerves. This is immaterial. It's not material. So, it goes by the highways, the path on the body. It circulates. The map of the points, which we call meridian, the map is the same 700 years ago, 1,000 years ago. It hasn't changed. When I said to Jalal, we can kill, it was about the force of this energy we can take. And the best place to get it in front of the stomach, 10 centimeters, and the hand 10 centimeters apart. And when we are relaxed and calm and breathe slowly and we are straight, we can take that in the hand. The best hour is between 7 and 9 o'clock p.m. because this is on the highway, which is called protector of the heart. We start from heart until the bottom of the third finger. And when we get this on the belly, underbelly reactor, energy center, we get the energy to the hands. And the best thing is also when we rub the hands together. When we rub the hands, and if we take it apart, we still have that energy. It can be used for healing, for massage, for also killing, but with years of exercise, mostly with master, to get how easily we open the arms, we get it on the, we get the environment energy, we take it to the up, we get the cosmos energy, we put it on the head and we bring it down, and we can stop it on the belly part, underbelly part, and this way you get, when people who are in martial arts, they get this energy in their hand, in the palm of hand, this point, and after 2-3 times this exercise, they can break the bricks or whatever, and if they transmit this to the point of the third finger, with touching vital zones of adversary, they can kill just by touching that. So it's not really killing the hand, it's rather healing, and we can elevate the soul by by starting from the zone, lower zone, because we have 3 zones of energy, 3 reactors. It's triangle, underbelly, 2 centimeters almost, and we get the energy and we sublimate it to the upper part between the chest, and then it's again it's triangle behind, in front, and so from this, when we heat it, when we get the energy, it goes to the upper triangle, the energy part, Dantian, it's called, center of energy. And then we can sublimate the energy with keeping the hands around it to the Wuji state, which is total, absolute emptiness. Like we are part of the environment. That's called the state which they are looking for with all these exercises, to be in a state of total emptiness. And so these 2 parts in the hand, and the other one is on the top of the head. On the top of the head, it's called the crown, or and it's between the median line of the head and where the ears are the higher. So if we put that, it's on the parts of the head, that's the head. It has to do with the spiritual things, and it's the point of contact with the sky. So it's young because it goes after that to the earth. So this part is very good to use for meditation, because we get in contact with sky, with anything which is up. That's what they use. And the other point also for meditation is between the eyes, which is the second point, and the back. So that creates a reactor triangle. The same in the chest. There is one between mammals, and there is on the back, and the second one, it creates another one in here, and on the back. So there are 2 other transmission points, like the hands, which is on the feet, called plan de pied.
Okay, excuse me, Marinus. Let's check in with Mr. Keshe and see if he's prepared for you to do this teaching here today, because I'm not sure if he's
Yeah,
wants to
that's
go
us.
ahead
We're
with that.
learning. We are here. We are knowledge seekers. That's because
Okay.
that's where we are. We're gathering the knowledge of what is in the past and what our masters in the past have taught us. And this is a knowledge that some of us we learn from. Maybe some use it, some brings us to a new dimension.
Do you want to let Marinus do her PowerPoint
Yeah,
presentation?
why not? As long as we can understand it, yeah, why not?
Okay, well,
I don't have right now
not.
PowerPoint.
It's
oh,
just that we
I
can
thought you had a
clarify it for
present.
us.
The other question somebody asked,
Sorry,
She's
Marinus, I thought you had a presentation or something that you were going.
explaining a scientific point from energy.
Okay, I thought you needed a whiteboard or had something
okay,
that
if
way.
you give me a
But that's
whiteboard,
okay.
please.
Okay, well, we can do that.
Her teaching is much in depth more than what Jalal was trying to explain to us. But she's trying to explain historical way that matter state energy has been understood. And this is a combination of number of what you call understandings of the energy in the body of the man, which is to learn is not a shame. We learn. We are here all knowledge seekers.
Is it a whiteboard I have?
Yes.
How could I use
does it look white?
Yeah, but where is the pen?
Okay, well, there should be
Pen,
the annotate bar there somewhere, or in the more, under the more, 3 dots. You might have annotate.
Yeah, but I don't have the more 3 dots.
Only
Neither.
panelists.
you gotta use. You got to use your cursor. You got to use your mouse to draw.
Okay. I do that just to make it simple. Okay. I'm sorry, I'm not painting. I'm okay. My cursor is like a hand. Oh, okay. There's another thing in here. Do I have
You gotta press. You touch. Do you see a black bar next to the green bar on the top of the page?
Yes.
Press that black bar. You get a curtain drop down, and somewhere in says annotate. Press the annotate, then you can write on the board.
You should annotate. Okay.
Press the annotate, then you get control of drawing. And if you draw a mouse and a cat, Rick will blank you out. So don't draw any mouses or cats.
Yeah. I have to work on this thing.
Did you find the tool? Did you find anything there, Marinus? What do you see?
Okay. I just wanted to show the transition point on the feet. On the feet, it was interesting because it's very good for those who have kidney problem to massage.
Okay, what do you see on your screen for your tools?
Right, I see on personalize the service rediffusion on direct. See actuellement écran de. I see actually your requirements.
What do you get when you click on the whiteboard icon?
Questionnaire, répondre, raise hand, conserve.
You don't get a black bar across the top?
Yeah, Zoom.
Has select and text and draw on it?
Panelist or
pointer, okay, a pointer.
Not pointer, right. But draw. The draw.
Pointer. No, there's no drawing.
It should say draw on your strip, along with stamp and spotlight and eraser and so on. That's the annotate bar.
Okay. No, it's okay.
Okay. Do you have a more up there somewhere? Do you have a black bar at the top with any icons on it at all in any of your screen?
No, I have option of affichage, pointer curses. Okay. Oh, foresee automatic window pointer.
This is in Zoom we're talking about that you're looking at in your Zoom
no,
window.
I don't know what it is. It was the only one which I opened. I can make
Hello. Sorry for intervening. Yeah. Probably she has an attendee screen and not a panelist screen.
Oh, maybe that's the problem. Thank you, Shandor. Okay, now
I have more things.
Now that should work.
What? Okay, I have.
You should be able. You should be able to get your draw.
Oh, okay. Okay, and then.
Do you see anything there? Do you see your annotate bar or draw?
Yeah. I see a crown, white tableau. All right, good. That's it. And then I take this one.
I think we need to do a training how to use a whiteboard from now on.
Well, the problem was we didn't promote her to a panelist, so she couldn't even use the whiteboard, and we were trying to get her to use tools she didn't have. So
okay.
that was our problem. Thank you, Shandor, for pointing that out.
Oh, thank you. Okay, so
you have to click back on with you have a different application of your pen. You're working in a space gap, which create the squares. You have to go on creating lines.
Hiding again.
You can.
Can I give a message? Armanjan, can you read your private message on our secure line, please?
It works. Somehow it works. Okay, I just show I just show the point. Oh, thank you. Okay, I start with from hand. It's just marvelous. Like when we do that, we need nothing else in the world to experiment because it's a cosmos. When we learn it, we know the whole universe is like that, right, Mr. Cash? It's a
I do not know.
Word. Our body is a mini word for me. If I learn
everything is a mini word.
And then when I learn how it works, I don't know anything else. And if I know how to elevate myself with my body. Okay, like this is our four hands, our hand. That's left and that is right. In here, this is called the Palace of Labor. This is transmission, taking and giving points. Okay, when we rub it, we gather more energy. And if we put it on the stomach place, which is what I call now our, I'm sorry, in Chinese it's called lower dantian, energy.
We can learn most of these on the internet, the energy points in the studies.
I'm saying it in a nice, easy way. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. So what I'm going to say, in the feet also we have these two, the same thing in the feet. We have the same thing in the feet, this zone, and in here, which is transmission point also. If we see the how long is our feet, we put it in 3 in the 1/3 of the feet. That's the point, and we can mass it, and it's good for when somebody is drowned or the heart doesn't work. We put needle, it comes back. So we have 5 points on the body to receive. And so when we put the hands in front of the stomach and we magazine we take the energy, put it in the stomach. If you put hand in front of it, it gets energy, right? And again, like in front of the chest, if we make a round, like the tree, and we put the hand around the tree, this, if we do it every day, it balances yin and yang in the body and gives force. And if you put hand in the crown point, it stimulates psychic, and it's good for schizophrenia also. So when we meditate, and with this crown always taken up, like with the thread, we take it up. When we take it out, we have to be straight. So we take a point up, like with the thread, so the shoulders get down, we sit right, we breathe slowly, and then we start. That's the best way that the energy circulates in the body freely. And with working, you can put it in front of body vertically, horizontally, and the body, the organs behind it, they are affected. And you can rub the hand and from down to massage your face from down, up and down. It's good for beauty of the face and all sorts of. And then when you got the energy in the hand, we put one hand in front of belly, one in the back. A few minutes, it gets energy. And the same on the upper, in front of chest, in the back. And the same with a hand in front of the front, pushing the front, and the other behind. And we feel relaxed almost immediately. And the thing about last time, the hand of man, the left hand is giver. We can show it with a magnet. I don't have time. I put a magnet, the plastic magnet in the ball, with the thread, you put it in front of hand, you see which part is gravitational and which one's. But the hand,
Wait. Repeat what you said.
Yes, sir.
Carry on. What did you say about the magnet?
Okay. They sell the magnet in a caoutchouc for the children, a piece of magnet. And I put it in a ball with a thread. I have the metal thread, right? And you fix it with that, and you put it on the hand. You let some centimeters, maybe 10 centimeters, and with the rotation of this, you see if it rotates. You just let it go, it rotates, and you see, for example, in the palm of the hand, you see it's gravitational. It turns gravitational, and on the other part, you see it turns on the clockwise. And all the upper part of the body from the waist, it's
sorry, Rick. Just wait. Shahjaz, can you just wait 1 second, please? Is there anything on the internet about this?
No.
About
no, because
the ball rotating.
the hand, with the hand and the man.
No, there's nothing about that.
Okay. Let's do something. Can one of our listeners make such a video and show us next week if we can show it?
I have done it already. If you don't mind, I show it. It takes 3 minutes.
On camera?
Yeah.
Are you decently dressed? Is it a nice view?
Yes, of course. Don't worry. Always, I'm always.
No, I mean, you're not in your
No,
pajamas or
no, sir.
whatever. Okay. Um, make sure nothing is seen, that
No,
you're
no.
safe, uh, be, that you're 100% safe. Or if I tell you something, to do it properly, make a video of it and
No,
send
it
it
is a
to,
video.
it's a video.
Can you
Yeah,
play
it's
it,
a,
Mirnas?
it just
Can you
filmed
play
it.
it now?
Yeah, I have the video in front of me. Can I show it?
Okay, well, get it ready and then do a share, and then if there is there sound with it or just the
Wait,
video?
No, there is also.
wait. I've just received your video. I'm
No,
just
no,
look.
it's not
Is
that
that,
one.
hold on.
No,
Is that with a man sitting with you?
no.
No. Okay.
That
So,
was
okay.
for some other scientific research. No, it's just easy. I do the what should I show it? It's
Oh, now we're going to take it out and put it on camera. Another teaching lesson.
it's just how
No,
to. Okay.
listen, Sasson, I like, I like to be a bit the other way around. I saw your videos. It's interesting.
No,
Some
it's
of
not
one of
that
the
one.
videos you sent.
No,
Yeah,
no,
okay, I understand. What I'm trying to say, if you make another one and let us see. You see, we got to be open to knowledge, but we got to be at the same time understand the beauty of the knowledge other people bring us. And we have to understand it. This is the beauty of this Keshe Foundation. We don't block anything, but we have to at the same time understand we have many people who want to learn, but we try to learn the right way. If you make um, what do you call the video of this, I'm very interested to see. I'm a knowledge seeker. I seek knowledge because I've done this many times. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't work. Sometimes depends on the state of the soul of the man. Just because it rotates is does not mean which one is. Um, if you take ganses, for example, and put a gans in a patch and hold it in front of the heart, it can give you a different rate of breathing. You see pressure. If you move it and turn it, it gives you pleasure. This knowledge we already know. But what is interesting is when you talk about the magnet, I've done it, I do it with ganses because it's a pleasure. It creates features, you see your emotion in 3 dimensions sometimes. If you hold a ball of gans between your hands without touching it, you see the creation of, especially if you created dynamic ball. And if you turn the ball or turn and sit the other side, which is opposite to where you're sitting, or turn your hands the other across, you get different rotation of magnetic fields. These things we understand. And I'm getting a message in the background from the management of the Keshe Foundation Maharaj, the same, says, you can make a scientific article about the procedure where you're explaining. The Keshe Foundation team will do it for you, polish it for you, and we publish it in the journal.
It's not
Do you
my
hear
knowledge.
me?
It's not.
I
It's not.
know.
I know.
Knowledge or our knowledge, you learn it from the others, but you bring knowledge from different sides of the science, different aspects of the development of different beautiful people who brought us out Taoism or what do you call it, different field of the science with the fields. So you're a dictionary, you're a collection of knowledge. Yeah. And for us to go and learn all these things for 99% of us is impossibility. But the way you explain it, yeah, we have a team in the background. They support you to do the paper in a beautiful way, and even help you with the pictures and bring it into the journal. It's something, maybe one person benefit by it and find a path to another dimension and the direction. And that's what our purpose is. I enjoy what you explain. I can see what you explain because you speak in the matter state, and one of the problems you have, which you don't see, I see as a problem. That's my problem, not yours. Is that you bring a magnet, which is a matter state, and you put it in conjunction with the plasma gas body of the man. So you might get some reactions. Yeah. So it means some of the cell of the body of the man is at the strength of that, which is usually to do with the blood. And in that process, then we have to understand the blood has two circulations. It's got a, what we call a fresh blood, which is a charge, and one is a discharge. And which one is closer to the skin where? These we have to understand things scientifically. And with what I say the next step is, when you test this with a GANs, you're dealing the same state of matter, the fourth state of matter, which is GANs, which is a plasma, which then we see the true effect of the energy transfer. Take two balls, make ganses of the same ball with a distance, and put your hands on either side of the ball. See which ball gans rotates in which direction. I use this knowledge extensively in my work. But you have to go to the next step. I mean, if I had my camera on, I'll show you the balls I use. The understanding of these things is huge. If you get a ball of GANs in your hand and load it up with 200 times more than another one in the other hand, you create a transformation of energy. But most of it goes through your body. Is a processing system for some illnesses. I hide it in the containers. When I make breathing systems, by holding it, I create that condition. Because people like to hold. When you hold a bottle of GANs in your hand, you can, you see, understanding of the knowledge is most of what the knowledge is, not how we interpret it. That interpretation brings us the extension to the knowledge. I would like to see, it'd be nice to see the position of the hand with the magnets. It would be nice to, then if you got any ganses, especially like a green and red one, show us, because I've done this, I know, and then get a paper written and publish it, and people understand more. You can, in so many ways, if you go back to the health application of the technology, you can use these things very easily. That's what most of the doctors around Keshe Foundation do. We understand the process of transaction of the fields, but fortunately, we see sometimes reaction with a magnet with our hand, and it's totally due to the iron levels in our blood. It interacts with the fields of it, with some of the fields of the magnet. If it's made of iron, it's got any iron content in it.
But
and it would be nice to see it.
The thing is,
yeah.
Honestly, to tell the truth, I made this small video for children to play.
That's what we are. We're all children.
Yeah, so it's
we are here to gain knowledge. That's how that it should be. If children learn this from childhood, but the same, I tell you, you're the wrong teacher to teach the children, because you're putting a matter with a GANs body of man. Make a GANs ball and see how it turns.
Well,
you're still creating the camel bird, huh?
To tell you the truth, the secret for this magnet work is to be completely in a state of calmness and confidence, you know? Like when I do.
I tell you something, Mahsa, let me tell you something. If you understand what I'm talking, and many of our listeners are going to do this, I've done this many times, but you have to understand, do not expect to see, allow for it to be seen, if you understand the meaning of it. If you get a bowl of GANs in front of you,
What kind?
that in front of your head, in front of your forehead,
CO2 or zinc?
it doesn't matter. You guess whatever you want to do, because I'm not going to teach you that part. You have, that's the homework, I call it. Yeah.
Yes.
And you don't need to concentrate.
No, just let go. Just let go.
Just not to let go. Understand the work of the plasma and just video it, because when you want to see it, you are bringing it to the matter state. Just put a video and let the video run, and then look at the video and see and create different dimension of the emotion, and see how afterwards the emotion manifests itself in the motion of the GANs. Doesn't mean it's going to rotate and everything else. And some of it could be because of the material moves in there. But if you are clear with your structure of understanding, you will see effects. And then you can extend it. You see the happiness creates a slower motion or faster motion. If you're a very good actor and you start crying and create, and see what that does. Get your dog to bite you and see with anger how that ball rotates. And see if you can get to the point that physically the camera cannot see the ball, which means you have extended your soul beyond the ball. These are very much when I said you put something in your hand. We have to learn new ways. And these are homeworks. You do things for children, and it's good. But please, if you're teaching the youngsters or people who come across the knowledge, do not mix the matter state with the GANs state.
It's not gas. It's just the magnetic material. Magnetic.
That is matter state.
It is matter. Yes.
It's a matter state. So
in front of
I
the stomach.
explain. Yeah, it doesn't matter. This is part of it, because we create dimensional field of motion. It's not just we have an aura, there is a field around us.
Exactly.
Yeah. So that thing could be a wind from the window, or could be direction of the motion in your body.
Mhm.
But now we have to go to the next level of understanding, that horses for courses. You can only test the magnet if it's metal and it's iron or whatever they matching, yeah, whatever they use. So if you want to test the man and the emotion of the man or the field of the man, you have to find the right magnet for it, which is not in the matter state, it should be in the GANs state. We have to extend the knowledge. You understand? Now we know the gases are there. Extend the knowledge. Is all right. That's why we are here. We are all here to seek knowledge, to see how we can. How would I know there is another soul in this room I can't see?
Can I say something?
Of course, you've been talking all the time.
About I have done exercises on that, which you just said. My last teacher was from Siberia, ex-Russia. And in Russian, the Russians have the centers of research for energy since 60 in competition with Chinese. And he was the director of energy center in Siberia to make them live longer, because they live normally 45 years in Siberia because of climate and pollution. And he was my teacher. Siberian Qigong, a little shamanist. And we did an exercise, which are two, one in closed eyes is standing, and the other one gets to, according to him, we had 4 cocoons, spheres. And this is my second sphere, which is about 50 centimeters. With my closed eyes, I have to learn how to feel when he comes in, how he feels. And then
Yeah.
we can do it. And I was feeling when he came to my sphere, I was feeling how he feels, where he turns right, left with eyes closed.
You
So
see, Shahza, Mahsa, there is something, if you are into martial art
exactly.
and you become very good at it, there's a martial art called ninjutsu. When you become more or less master in it, they sit you on the ground and people stand around you, the students or whatever, people who are part of. And you have to recognize, close eyes, in total concentration, which one of these people is moving, or if the movement is to attack, or you're in danger, that you can protect yourself. Be it a sword, be it whatever. And this is something we already know. One of my sons is a master in this, and he moves before the guy thinks, and this is part of their training. That's how they become masters in this game. And I've seen this. I know they do this, but it's recognition if it's an attack move or whatever. We discussed it with Caroline because 2 of our sons in this have been since they were children and they still carry on with it in their late 20s, 30s. And they are masters in. They learn, they teach. And the we know field, not only field, but the sense, the emotion of the motion. And they don't need to even look. When one of our sons was, what, 16, 17, Caroline, he was on the street of Manchester. It's a violent city. Manchester is beyond violence. West is nothing. 4 guys with knife, they go attack him for whatever they wanted, wallets or whatever. He says, I do not know. I just knew there's 1 knife in my hand and 4 people on the floor. He could, in a sense, to understand what was the intention. And the strange thing is, he knew they're carrying a knife with them. I said to him, did you get hurt? He says, no, there's a slight cut on my jacket. But there were 4 guys on the floor and a knife in my hand. And this knowledge we know. And it's understanding the intention. Because one thing for me was important is, how did he know they're going to attack him or they were after something? And by nature of training, why did he have a knife in his hand at the end? From the hand of these guys. England is a violent place. You have to learn to protect yourself. And this happens to everybody every day down north of England and London. It's not what people think, it's not all honey and pots. But in the essence is, we are aware of this, and you need to train to extend it. But the important thing is, do we recognize the intention behind the motion? It's not just trying to do. That's what I said. When you look at the ball, can you get the ball rotating? Can you get the ball stopped? And is it by think I want to stop, or I give you so much that I give so much to you that you turn clockwise If you go to clockwise, I know it's friendly. If you come anti-clockwise, it means you want to come close to me because you need me. You need for me to give, or I've given you enough that you want to be close to me. You see, when you speak to someone and you tell them something and they have to think to answer you, it means there is another factor in it. Or if they ignore what you say, there is another factor into it. You have to read the emotion in the motion in what you do. I tell you, I love you, and you just ignore it. Or I tell you I love you, you have to think I better say something. And you say, oh, I love you. And I can tell you I love you. And before I finish, say, I love you, darling, too. That to you is an answer, but to me shows a state of mind, a state of emotion. When you write to somebody, I miss you, and you get no response, it means I don't give a bother a shoot about you. But it's there, you put it, nothing from my side. When you write to someone, this is my intention, or this is how I feel. Do we have to put the feeling in writing? Or can we explain it by emotion? These things we know, but for man, now, we have to understand we are entering universal community. We don't know the guy. We don't know the energy field. We don't know the gel in front of us. How are we going to interact? How are we going to be infused or diffused in the balance field region? What is the intention of the other side? We don't know. He doesn't speak English, he doesn't speak Chinese, he's not from planet Earth. How do I show to him I like to know him? Or her? I don't know if it's her or him. These are where our extension of knowledge comes in. And we got to understand the truth about what we expect from what we are made of. Many of our knowledge seeker doctors still don't have a clue how to process their patients because they haven't understood this. Some randomly hit somewhere right. And because they haven't understood, oh, this technology works partially, it's a big difference. How come when I apply, majority of the time, 90%, 95%, I get it right? Because I work understanding the transfer of energy. And most of the time, the tools I make is just a gimmick because the soul has already been given. I've said many times, our doctors, our physicians have to give from the soul, not from the dimension of making physical. But we have to make some. You can't just somebody look at you and you're perfect, you're done. As a guy was telling me, the problem with Mr. Keshe is, or one of the thing is, we have people who can do things, but he makes the tool that he does, he can repeat it. This is what we are interested in. I was with a scientist yesterday, and that was, he says, he makes tools. This is where the difference, because we have people who can make cloud or do things, but this guy makes a machine which doesn't, he can repeat it. It doesn't need him to be there. When I die, there is no more rains and no clouds. The transfer of energy nowadays, as we learn, as Maxwell explained, is trying to extend the knowledge, trying to understand the work of the gas in the true essence of the gas. The essence has to be in knowledge of true life, in understanding the totality of work of the soul. Go to the writing of Baha'u'llah Blessed name. He says, even a stone has a soul. If we want to become that stone, we have to understand the strength of the soul of that stone, and we become a stone. If we are dealing with a man and an emotion, we have to understand the totality of the emotion of the man and what it's made of. Then we can elevate that man. And this is what is missing in most of our knowledge as human being. We mix the two together and we don't get the results, or we mix it together because we haven't understood the totality.
Mr. Keshe?
Yes.
Excuse me, I thought. There is also another formation by one of the students of my Siberian master, which in one weekend we learned how sitting in front of another person, we know what part of the body has problem, and it's to what kind of emotional problem, like relation with mother, relation with father. She explains, for example, right hand has to do with problem with your father, etc. And it's easy to learn, and I wish the doctors use this. A lot of people use this every day at home, and it's a pity that doctors in the West don't look at the East and to make a better.
Yeah, but you see, let's see something which we have. I want to clarify something with you. East has its own beauty of the knowledge of the man, and West has its own beauty of the knowledge of the man. East has gone through the soul of the man, the emotion and direction of the field. West has gone into physicality of the man, which is the tablets and everything else. And between the two, there is a balance, because we are made of both. And many times, many times, I've seen that, and people talk about it. And we have to be clear with ourselves and nobody else. Am I clear?
Yeah, for example, like allergies. When I started this school, I lost all my allergies. I don't. It goes without. I know about it, you know. So these kind of things can go easily. with, of course, what I like the most, I'm sticking to, is the traditional Chinese energy. Because there are a lot of different things that just the traditional uh, Chinese energy. And with allergy, things like that. For example, there are exercises I can show how to, it's good for the beauty of the face or for the eyes, or uh, these little things really don't, we don't, for the acouphene, when the ears make noises, a very easy massage of the behind the ears, really easy, 3 4 days. There are things like that which the medicine or Western medicine doesn't answer. They have anti-inflammation and cortisones and anti-pain, and they can go with this. And some massage for the back. Uh, I really had good results with it. Without the painkiller, it works. Of course, we have to look for the good one, the right teaching. You're right. You have to look we have to find the right system which gives the good map of using these things. Um, so I hope it happens one day.
Thank you very much, Henry.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Keshe.
Hello, I know that voice. Good morning.
Good morning.
You just woke up?
Different topic. No.
Yeah.
I've been here.
If nobody knows this voice, this is Mrs. Keshe, is my wife, so we can speak that way. No problem. Carry on.
I've been here all the time. A totally different direction. We, or the team that is writing the paper to be published in the Wikipedia about the ethos of the planet and the behavior of humanity, we are on the topic of the part where you explained where man has to stop to drain the oil from Mother Earth, because it's like a blanket. It functions like a blanket, and it has changed our position in the universe. To go more into depth, if there is even any knowledge about this, let's say, for example, with NASA, do they know that the Earth is no longer in a position where it's supposed to be, and that we have moved so far out of our position so fast because of this handling?
Yeah, sorry about that. There is a measurement. We know we are moving. There is the systems built that it shows we are moving in the direction towards the sun. There are many, a number of scientific organizations are measuring it. And, but we have, pardon?
It's, how can we solve this problem to be stopped?
We can't stop. It's just like we are on a elastic piece of string which is attached to us, and the big brother is holding it, and we are a tiny little brother. It's going to pull us in. That string, we call it the gravity, and nobody can stop this. We hear a lot of talks about global warming, but and then they blame it on everything else. Conditionally we create some of that position, but in essence we're going to get warmer millimeter by millimeter. We are pulled. You see, the strangest thing is, this is the ignorance of man about his own existence. We talk about gravity, we talk about, we have a stone, we hold it up, it drops on the floor because of the gravity of the earth. We are that a stone called earth. And that earth It's the sun which is falling into. And unfortunately, it's like you put a fire and you put your hand a meter away. It's very cool. As you bring it closer to the fire, it gets warmer. And this is what our scientific world try to cover up, because it makes a very good sense. As part of Dutch men have started talking about the global warming and selling trees which don't exist to make it balance. We are not a stone. We are falling in. And we have no choice. We are very much, if you play the game of spin, like a roulette, we are on a spin and we're going into the center. There is no choice. You go to these fun parks where you come into a big funnel and the water brings you and you go round and round and round till you fall through the center of the funnel. Your Earth is that you in that funnel. We create part of this global warming, part of reduction of change of the magnetic field of the Earth ourselves, and that has caused us to move in closer. They blame it on the global warming, but we have changed the energy status of the matter of the planet. That's all it is. There is, in totality, whatever is within the atmosphere of the planet, it stays more or less constant, plus what it gives and what it takes. We have an aura, planet Earth has aura, because it interacts with the field within its dimension. But now we have facilitated more of different strength, but we get it back again. But if our scientists could explain the straightforwardness that this is the truth about us. As they say, dinosaurs, I've explained this before, they were, so big. Why we don't have such a big thing? We have. If you look at the blue whale, the big whale in the sea, his condition has not changed that much from the time of dinosaurs, because he's conditioned on the liquid of this planet. So he has stayed that big. The animals called dinosaurs, or the other big animals we used to have, their condition on the atmospheric condition is getting suppressed. So we cannot have tall trees of 2, 3, 10,000 years ago. We are shrinking because of closeness to the sun. That pressure stays on the surface of the liquid of the planet, but not that much, because they can. So planet inside can hold to huge animals. It's not that they can float, but they keep to the size. And we are getting to that point when we gave some boost energy to some people, which is abnormal to their normal diet of the race for past 200-300 years. We see them, they react, but gradually will go back down. We see the Chinese who are opened up to Western food, suddenly high energy packs, McDonald's and everything else. We see a lot of Chinese suddenly shooting up. But we see different directions with the Africans and the Americans who are in these high energy packs. We see with the Russians, they eat a lot of fat and alcohol. You see how the body is solid. They're conditioned. We are going towards the sun. And that will affect the state of our emotion. That will affect the state of the radiation from our soul to its boundary. It's the same soul, it hasn't changed. And it has to accept the compression not only from the earth, because it's made of the earth and the rays of the sun, we're standing above it. So it reflects partially the state of the fields in interaction with the soul and the planet. This is very simple. If we look at reality of the, let's say, soul of the man, we, as I said, I showed in the other picture, if this is the man, sorry, I don't like to use the thin lines. If this is a man with his soul, you have the soul of the earth, which sits here near to it, but you have a soul of this one, the sun. We are made of the two. And because we are closer to this, we came from it, we get attached to it. But our soul, in either direction, is the interaction of the fields of the totality. And the fields of the sun affects our emotion. We see it in Northern European countries. When there is a lack of the sun during the winter, there is a high suicide, which means we are connected to the essences of it, because it has created us. If those of people who use in Scandinavian countries, they use the ganses, they find a different emotion, because in a way we give them another additional sun, and they get energized, they get that energy which they need from another sun. This is what we have to understand, the totality. And in one teaching, we cannot explain everything one way, but this is what it is. If you look at it in a more depth, in the inner depth, this is this earth and we are there, and this is the sun. The position of the center of the galaxy has the effect on our emotion and our soul. But we look at our physical dimension. This is what we have to understand.
Can we still stabilize this moving so fast?
No. The faster you get to the earth, the closer you get to the earth, the faster you drop. Is our mass is constant, but the pull, the center of the earth is losing some of its magnetic field too, because it's expanding, opening.
I was more in the direction to find answers of the conduct of the man on this planet. Because
The conduct of the man dictates the position of the soul of the man.
yes, but we
So,
are in a combination with the soul and of physicality and the soul, but in conjunction towards where we are, and we are positioned on Mother Earth, we belong to it. How can we interact as in an understanding learning process? What we have carried out, we have changed the position faster than it should be. So the point of my question is, how can we and what can we, because it's also not only for us which are here at the present moment, is also for the future, for the children which are coming. What can we leave as a message and information to guide them, that at least the change can start at a certain point of understanding? If we can't explain it to our children, what and how we have speeded it up, now we need to be able to at least create a understanding by knowledge how we can reposition that what has been created.
the
Because
problem,
a lot of knowledge seekers don't know what to bring as a, we can say what we have done and what is happening now, but it's more to, they're looking more for the answer. How and what can we give this as a knowledge to our next generation, and even maybe change the generation of today by explaining.
We have to understand the truth or the totality of the reality ourselves. And at the same time, as part of the education system of today, doesn't matter which country, which language you are, our children are indoctrinated in a way of everybody else is wrong except what's in the book and what the teachers say. We had this with all our children. You are wrong because it's not in the book. You are wrong because my teacher says so. And you put the wrong teacher in the thing, and for 10 generations he teaches the wrong thing to the student, and the student teaches to his children, and they're how it goes back to what I call collective knowledge teaching. And in a way, we are doing this. We have brought that change in with with this knowledge seekers teaching. It's there in public, and many people translate it, many people transcribe it to their language, and they do it according, they take from it according to their own understanding. No knowledge has ever been taught this way to mankind. You are in Europe. How many people are on the line? Africa, Asia, South America, Canada, Australia. We are all, for the first time, as the word of the Creator spread, we listen to it and we learn from it. Never happened before. This is where the change is coming. In the past was the story from this to that. It was somebody said and added what it is. Now the teaching is taught as it is, and it'll be there for centuries. People can go and refer to it and see what they can add to it, what was there. And for the first time, the teaching is set. You got to understand something very crucial which is about to happen. Fox News, through the instruction and the work of the people like in Belgium and the others, have put a total ban on Keshe Foundation teaching. That's why you don't hear, because we know people in Fox, they say we would like to bring you and teach, and we would like you to do this and that, but there's instruction, no one in a Fox, CNN, CBS, no one can talk about Keshe Foundation. There is a ban on you. We said, okay, no problem. We teach on the internet. Millions of people learn. And in that process, we have core of millions of people who have learned and taught themselves. In the coming time, when the door opens up, many of you knowledge seekers will teach the knowledge because you are the first generation. You become part of explaining, and not all of you will teach the right way, because we're all human. We hear what we like to hear and what it comes to us. But at the end of the day, the teachers, those says, this is the way it was taught, this is what it is. And then this is for the first time we're teaching direct across this planet. We have children 8, 10 years old which listen to this teaching. We have professors and scientists in their 20s and 30s and 50s listening. We have old men in their 70s and 80s, they're listening. And each one, what it fits at that time of need, they're repeating. So Once the Fox News decides there's time to let the others who are not on the internet read about Keshe Foundation and understand the new technology, because now we have a spaceship. Now we have a in our country, people walk with a cancer, we walk with no cancer. An hour later, we cannot hide it anymore. This is good for us because it literally opens up the hand of control. And this is good because this time has given us time to solidify, to gel. And now we don't need them. We, you see, the strength of our teaching is in the reaction of governments. Go back in one of the teachings, I spoke about very important things to do with America. On a Thursday night, the next day, 11 o'clock, White House issued a presidential decree they need such a thing. So they listened. It's not coincidental. Where does it come from? We speak last week about what we spoke, and we saw the reaction immediately. Tehran and Washington. So the point of how do we teach is when the teachings are opened up, but those who control the news, then everybody will listen this time and everybody will learn and everybody will benefit by it. I was telling to a friend of mine, when the Fox News takes this ban on Keshe Foundation, do you know who's going to make a lot of money? All the shares in the companies which they make caustic will go sky high. If they were $10 today, they'll be $200 tomorrow because everybody wants to make, everybody wants to test. And there's be a shortage in the market. All the ones who use copper plates, makes copper and zinc, there'll be a shortage. But do you know what it is? Everybody in the bus, in the school, and I made this cancer, oh, use that one, it gives you that health. Then we get the effect. For the first time in medical application by the government of the Keshe Foundation technology, by the scientists which are supporting it to do the testing, there's a beautiful thing on the back of every application form. Everyone who partakes in clinical trials, which is going to be thousands, every patient has to sign a World Peace Treaty. It's amazing, isn't it? Every patient who uses the technology for clinical trials which are set up and starting, they have to sign a World Peace Treaty, even the doctors. And do you know how many of these patients are soldiers? Are men of arms, that are people who make arms to kill, and they have to sign. And then you know something, we became like the doctors when they graduate. Before they come, they swear to loyal to the medical world and tell all the lies to make sure that a pharmaceutical makes money. Now they sign their soul to peace. It's a condition of change. Is the beauty of how this knowledge has built up. There was an article in a magazine in Belgium a few years ago, and we called the newspaper that this article, this is about it. What's it called? Postman something. The journalist told us we cannot write anything about the Keshe Foundation or Mr. Keshe in Belgium newspapers. It's a ban by the government. This is how they control the knowledge with everybody else. They kill the scientists. They done everything possible. But this scientist is a man of God. They can't touch. They can do all the poisoning. They can do all the shooting. We prevail. Because this knowledge will go, everybody will learn, the children will learn as is taught, not as the grandmother said, and added something to make it sweeter that is good for her or gets her more love. They all will test. We The point has changed. In next coming times, I was waiting for something for 2 years, literally 2 years. And during this teaching, it was brought to me while I was teaching you. And immediately our team who are close related to it were informed, because they put their lives on for the foundation. They have to know. They have to be understanding that the process has started and we are on it. And this is the beauty of it. And this is why we understand the totality of it. This is part of what we have to understand, that we can't go crazy, but we have to be correct at the time that we are in the position to share knowledge, to expand the knowledge. These teachings and all the books and all the teachings you are doing is beautiful. I listen to some of the private teachings, I listen to some of the um, workshops or different languages. I see some people trying to repeat me, and I said, my God. But I see people who try to explain the teaching, what I taught, with a flavor of their understanding. And I said, yes, they're extending the knowledge. When we become a photocopying machine, we are finished. And when we come to the point of understanding, then there is no barrier. We know this planet is doomed because we call it doomed. But look, we stand outside and we get a drop of rain on us. We go and stand in the rain and we get showered by the beauty of what comes back. We are another drop of rain going back to where it came from, because our knowledge doesn't extend to see are the other souls on the sun which are waiting for this drop of rain to go back, for them to extend, to enjoy. Man has to come beyond the selfishness of me. Man has to come understand it's the same rule and applies in totality of the work of the universe. And this is where our dimension of physicality has a problem with the dimension of existence and creation. We need to understand we are part of a working of a regular system. We are not exception. And when we understand that, we can use the totality of the knowledge of the universe.
Thank you, Mr. Keshe.
Thank you, Mrs. Keshe.
Another question?
I don't know. The master is sitting there very quietly. Rick, any other? The thing is, you know, we talk about everything here, but even if you listen to our master here, Rick, he's been here for 6 years, every Friday, every Thursday, non-stop. Wakes up in the middle of the night to make sure it is. These are blessed souls. And they've gone through rough and thick with the Keshe Foundation. I remember the day he was blowing himself up, Mr. Keshe, they brought everything down. in other points, the harshness we've gone through in past 12 months. But now we are safe. Now we can, it was worth it because our lives is limited. Another 10 years, 20 years, one day, maybe 1 week, maybe 100 years. But what we've gone through has changed the course of humanity, and we are part of it. In no time in history of man, so very few people have made such a big change in the destiny of mankind. Not only in the material size, but in the soul, in the understanding of totality of the creation. And that's why they're called core team. They're there, they're solid, they're there to do harsh time, they grow, they cry, they shout. You know what you've done? I said, I know, but it's part of the process of maturing and bringing it. Otherwise, it would have been okay. Everybody would have been a member of the Keshe Foundation.
But
But
Mr. Keshe,
yeah,
yes, I'm use your but this time.
yeah.
You are just exactly saying what I said in my passing through private teachings with others. I said to the knowledge seekers, start a diary, start noting down, start registering what you're doing as a knowledge seeker. I said, because you're part of that change. I said, it's like writing a history book, but you are the change. You came on board of that change, and you're making the changes every day. We have knowledge seekers which are working day and night. And the understanding has come so beautiful because they are working on soul level. They're still struggling with the matter state. We're floating in between to connect the two, to see where we can elevate and see where we can bring the change. But the knowledge seekers are gluing together more and more every day. And they're working as a unity. And we saw this beautifully taking place on Tuesday in the One Planet, One Race, One Nation presentation in public domain. And the thing that I brought them back to was, what did you do when you came into the foundation as a knowledge seeker? The first thing you signed. They had to think. I had to tell them, you signed the World Peace Treaty. So we brought the World Peace Treaty on the platform. I said, everything, what our wishes to support Mr. Keshe for the world peace, that's the only thing he ever requested, was to achieve the world peace. It all in that paper, and signing it together, that has made a huge impact on, like a field strength, as you call it. Souls are gluing towards your purpose to serve humanity and achieving world peace. And we will get there. We are getting there because they understand, they apply, and they are intertwining the knowledge you have given so freely. And you're relentless in putting your work down, your foot down, your knowledge down, but it's always been in an open manner that they can go everywhere to find what they need to move or to elevate somebody else. And it's the first time Tuesday, that truly we run a One Planet, One Nation platform, because the souls really glued together. Mr. Keshe, you're not alone.
One of the things we see is why a lot of world leaders start moving in the direction. But it'll be amazing, I've explained this before, in bringing correctness, correct conduct. We seen something, and we see this will develop into a bigger scale in a coming time. I've spoken about this before, is if you know about China and Chinese situation since the time that His Excellency President Xi has taken over, is he has to stop the, what they call, the briberies, the backhanders, and stealing from public, stealing from the weak, and robbing people up because you're in a position of power. And it has some harshnesses, but I think this, in the coming time, will go across this planet. And in that process, we will see many world leaders, because of the need to economical improvement of the society, and because the way now Keshe Foundation is linked up to One Belt One Road in a direct way, we represent the ethos of the One Belt One Road, which is bringing prosperity and making human as one race. We put the one planet, one nation, one race in One Belt, One Road. And this will change a lot of things. A lot of world leaders, to benefit by this economical change, will have to open up a lot of things which they did wrong and they put right. You got to understand, world population is becoming open-minded in respect that doesn't matter if you're a world leader and you do wrong, we'll get you. You cannot do so much wrong and walk away from it. And this will go down the same path very soon. We see today the Israeli Prime Minister has resigned, or hasn't resigned, he's closed the Senate. But he's trying to get back in as fast as possible before October, when he's in for the very high level criminal acts, that he could protect himself, and he was hoping he'll get time to do it. And as a matter of urgency, the biggest power behind President Trump, which was pushing for all these wars, now is not there to do. He has no power even to order an officer to shoot, let alone raising the other countries to do things which he wanted to do. And this is all in a matter of a week. It's a historical. Israeli Prime Minister has never ever gone through this, and he's totally bought himself time. But we see our wish being peace, a lot of things are moving around it. In United States, the Senate and the House are refusing to sell arms to Saudi Arabia because it's used to damage so many people in the war there. It's just selling arms to kill people to justify one power wants to stay in power. This 200 million euro dollar deal is stuck in Senate. It's not going to go through. Because what is it used? To kill all these Yemenis, which is the worst hunger ever created. The governments are becoming aware they are responsible for this, looking after the others around the world. Where in the past was just, let's sell arms, we get something, we get some jobs. They got nothing to do with people in Middle East, the way Saudis are killing partner. They're asking for position. We'll see the same thing with many, many world leaders. One of the biggest world leaders which is running from reality is Tony Blair, the ex-Prime Minister of England. He's literally running. He'll be brought into position very soon. Beginning of the war on Iraq came out of the lies from Downing Street. And he's responsible for it. World leaders are responsible for what they do. And then with what this is now, stopping the briberies from all these leaders to get contracts into the countries and all that, which is part of the cleansing by President Xi, will go down that route. The governments will start cleaning up. Because it's there, as I said, humanity has started to become humane, even though it doesn't look like it. But one of the first things we'll see in the coming time, Fox will be split up. The Fox News, what they call it, news broadcasting corporation, owned by the Illuminatis and financed heavily through back of what I call Vatican, will be split up very soon. Because people realize they just use news to make fake news to do the control. And we see that very, very, people go onto the alternative and the real news where it sits. We've been conditioned to war by those who benefit by it, but now you can't sell arms. Um, the, the beauty of it is that mankind is waking up, and mankind sees better doing in helping the others and changing the others than killing the others. We have more or less, as I said, I hope, and we shall be there. There'll be no more wars. There'll be no more wars. It's finished. And we see how we curved in the past 7 days in Iran and United States. They might start skirmishes, but as I said, my soul is in the direction, and this is the third time we made an invitation to President Trump. He wants a Nobel Prize. The prize sits in Tehran. Become another president after 40 years. And then to meet Tehran, and then to meet the love of the Ukrainians. And then it's there. We are all the same. The sanctions won't have that much tooth because now everybody understood what game was played. And we needed this to expose the pain, the American. For what we have to separate children from their parents just because they cross a border. The trauma of that child stays to the life of that child. Not just because a man decided he gets money out of building a wall. These things will come, man will mature, but this time the maturity will be very rapid. We have closed the war. No nation will go into war anymore. We've seen so much. Americans run around stirring up the Saudis, the Middle East. They shot 4 ships. Nobody listened because they knew it was all made up. Because we had the rehearsal in Frankfurt, in Brussels, and everywhere else. Nobody believed it. How many times can you call a wolf and everybody comes else, and next time you do, nobody listens. And this time, the wolf did not, nobody answered. And this has brought, you will see, America will come in the rank of most probably 7 to. And if you separate the state of, what do you call it, California, out of United States, will decline to number 20. The state of California is one of the biggest backbone industries, moneymaker for United States. And it's a country, it's a state on its own, and contributes a lot. And if anything happens in California with the earthquake or whatever, they're automatically gone. I listened to something which brought horrors to me, but I've been told not to talk too much on my teachings. But in time when I heard when the director of highway saying that he wants nothing, no problem against Apple and the others, and he doesn't want to do anything to take anything against anything. I know the reason. And my heart goes for the father who has to compromise for the life of his daughter. I've been there. I sat across the wall when the Canadians, they told my sister, they put a bullet in my head. If she lets the press know, I'm there. You've never been the places I've been to see injustice of man. 11 days, every day, in the airport, they brought me and they told me, anybody knows we captured you, there'll be a bullet in your head, you're not going out. And I saw my sister crying, please don't kill him. And I hear the same voice from my father. The time of misconduct is over. And it's us who's got to mature to the reality. They say the Chinese and the Iranians steal technology. Oh my God. They capture you in the airports, they steal you, and if you talk, we kill you and your family. So nobody knows up to now how many scientists Canadians have put into this life cycle. And the ones who did accidentally are killed by the mixture of poisons. With a heart attack, nobody can say. The time is over. The freedom of scientists has come. And this is all part of our life. We're not reading storybooks. I live the life. As we say in English, I walk the path. And it worked up to now. They could bully, they could steal. Now you can't. And now we see the souls are awakening and the change is there. You come. It can't be how many time coincidences. In one Thursday, imminent war is not even in the news. My wish is my command. I wonder if the American president will take our offer and come to Tehran. I'm sure the Iranian governments will keep him the same suite, the same, what you call it, hotel room as they gave to me and President Putin on the same floor. It's the beauty of mankind waking up, and the knowledge has woken a lot of things up, and all this is for us to progress. Doesn't matter how we do it, but knowledge seekers have attained a lot, and knowledge seekers are working a lot to attain that position. And this comes, we have more and more scientists, we have more people who are there to bring the change. The change of the course in the coming weeks, you will see, is that there are knowledge seekers and there are those who seek through knowledge to gain something else. And we will see both. And we don't hide things in the pattern. We encourage you to join us to increase the knowledge and more benefit. This is the, I was sitting with one of the knowledge seekers, which is very helpful to the foundation, yesterday morning on the table. And his idea was, his understanding that we were going wrong is that we are not doing it the right way. And I explained to him, I'm not here for the financial, I'm here to gain, to make China strong, that through the strength of China as a peaceful nation, we achieve peace. So it's financially is irrelevant to me. And he understood for the first time that we are not here for financial gain, we are here to gain peace. And it's the wish of the man to understand. My wish is understanding of the soul of the Creator, and is within all of us. Then we got to understand ourselves. And this is the point of turning. Once we understand our own soul, then we will come from where we come from. As the soul is stronger, does the physicality matter? Then do we need that interatomic fusion because we are already embraced by it? I had one of the best weeks of my life in the past week. And I said, yes, I've served my purpose. If I could have stopped, as I said, one mother not to see the son or daughter, and one father to be home, that he can say to the children, I'm home, by stopping a war, I've achieved my purpose. And I achieved a huge purpose. World leaders listen to these teachings very closely. World scientists listen. And now is the time for the world scientists to come together and start changing the course of humanity. and it's there. We have received the best news we were waiting for, and again, thanks to His Excellency President Xi and the Chinese administration and the Chinese team behind us and around us, who they put around us to bring us to where we are in past 2 years, that we will see the change. And as I said, it's not Keshe Foundation anymore. China is the backer, financial backer. China is the road maker, the path we go to make sure the knowledge is shared, enjoyed to share, and equally shared. At the same time, it brings prosperity to mankind. It's amazing what Foundation has achieved through its work, through its patience. And you will see. Don't be shocked if you hear that how things have taken shape around the Foundation in past few months, and how the Foundation will appear in next few weeks. A lot of you stood by us. We went through a lot of problem, but the whole of Foundation and the supporters of Foundation kept quiet, absolute quiet, because we all knew we had to go through it. But we knew the end is there, and it will bring the big change. And today we have made that change. That change has come. And in so many ways, we start changing the soul of the man. And the beginning of the world peace is signed in today. You will understand what it is in the future. Those who've been around the Foundation, and they will tell their grandchildren why 30th of May was such a significant day in the Keshe Foundation work. And we waited for this. A lot of people worked very hard because we knew we have to do this to be able to achieve world peace. And we're on the way, in a very, very big way. And we, thanks to all of you, and thanks to those who become knowledge seekers in the future, that they carry the same ethos, then we understood the language of the universe. And that is, we are here to serve. Thank you very much for today. And in so many ways, thanks to all the Keshe Foundation team, from the management, from every corner, the core team, the Universal Council, and everybody else, that it brought us to this position. Especially the Chinese team, relentlessly standing out in every way, bringing that position to be seen. And as I said, we always share the news, the way we see the achievements of the Foundation, and we achieved a lot today. And it's totally on the back of the work of all of you outside, inside China, and the Chinese Keshe Foundation, and those who outside supported it to be where it is. And teach without prejudice, and teach with the pleasure that your knowledge is shared to change the humanity. Thank you very much for today.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. Keshe, once again for yet another Knowledge Seekers Workshop here, 278.
Thank you
very much. Okay, that will end unless there's any other announcements from anyone here that we have to be reminded about. Okay, then that'll wrap it up for the 278th Knowledge Seekers Workshop for Thursday, May 30th, 2019. Thanks to everyone for attending and participating. And we'll see you again hopefully next week at this same time and place. Thank you, Flint, for taking us out.
Hello. We are the Keshe Foundation. Our mission is to bring peace on Earth and join humanity with the universal community. We wish and work to bring man as equal to all beings in the universe. By teaching plasma science and technology equally to everyone, no one is left out and no one is abused due to lack of knowledge. By donating to us, you can help achieve this goal. keshefoundation.org/donate.
Plasma products found at keshefoundation.org/store. Soothing, reusable plasma eye and migraine mask. Eliminate eye fatigue and relieve stress in eye area. European certified medical device. Massaging plasma insoles. Bring comfort back to your feet and energize your legs. European CE certified medical device. Antiseptic plasma liquid hand soap. Promotes well-being and relaxation with protective plasma formula. CE certified. One Soul Plasma T-shirt. GAN's formula within the symbols and stripes brings mind, soul, and body into balance. European certified. Pain Relief Pen. Emits a concentrated plasma field at point of pain, efficient up to 3 centimeters below the skin. CE certified. The Magrav's Energizer and Alkalizer raises pH and energizes water through magnetic and gravitational fields. CE certified medical device. Pain Relief Pad, a result of years of research in nanoplasma technology with magnetic and gravitational fields. CE certified medical device. Visit the online store at keshefoundation.org/store or find a distributor near you. Tax and shipping not included.